We're gonna have okay, I think we might be live now. Okay. Okay, finally, like it looks like we're live. So yeah, we're gonna have Camila Moore come up in here in a second. She's gonna be joining the discussion tonight. Until she gets in here, I want to touch up on this article real quick. Curating the Newstoter.com platform. It's from one of our curation partners, the Neo Jim Crow. Betrayal of caution, California Democrats accused of sabotaging own reparations bill. In a controversial move that has ignited protests and heightened political tensions, the California state legislature has held off on two key bills that would have advanced the state's efforts toward slavery reparations. On the final day of the legislative year, lawmakers left Senate Bills 1403 and 1331 off the voting agenda. These bills, which would have established a fund in the agency to oversee reparation measures, were part of a broader package aimed at addressing historical injustices against Black Americans. The decision not to bring the bills to vote sparked immediate backlash from Black activists. Present at the California Assembly, members of the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California voiced their frustration, demanding immediate action. The speaker needs to bring the bills up now, said one activist who accused lawmakers of killing their own bills because they're scared of the governor. In a pointed message to Governor Gavin Newsom, another activist warned of potential political consequences. This is going to have a direct impact on your friend Kamala Harris, who's running for president, she stated, highlighting the national implications of California's reparations debate. State Senate Stephen Bradford, author of the stalled bills, expressed disappointment and urged his colleagues to reconsider. We're at the finish line, and we as Black Caucus owe it to the descendants of chattel slavery, to Black Californians and Black Americans to move this legislation forward, Bradford said. However, Assembly member Lori Wilson, chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, defended the decision to pull the bill, stating they needed more work. We knew this from the very beginning that it was an uphill battle, and we also knew from the very beginning that it would be a multi-year effort, Wilson told reporters. The legislature did approve other related measures, including proposals for returning unjustly seized property and issuing a formal apology for the laws that have harmed Black people. However, these bills fall short of providing direct payments to African Americans as a key demand of the reparation advocates. Governor Newsom, who has until September 3rd to decide on the bills, on the bill's pass, has remained largely silent on the issue. His administration signed a $297.9 billion budget June to include up to $12 million for reparation legislation, but without specifying how the funds will be used. The latest development comes 2 years after California established a first-in-the-nation task force to study reparation proposals. The task force released a comprehensive report last year with over 100 recommendations for lawmakers. As the debate continues, the stalled bills highlight the complex political landscape surrounding reparation efforts in California and potentially set the stage for further negotiations in the coming legislature session. So shout out to all my people coming up in here. Like I said, we're waiting on Miss Camila Moore to come up in the actual space tonight. So shout out. Anybody wants to talk about this, definitely feel free. She'll be up in here shortly. I'm assuming you guys can ask her any questions. Anybody that wants to come up here and speak on it right now, you can also get the microphone as well too. I see DJ, I see you up in here. I sent you the co-host invite. If you see it, okay, you went ahead and accepted it. So shout out, I see Quadir, I see a bunch of you guys. Shout out to my girl Rera Ray, all of y'all up in here. And yeah, and like I said, tomorrow night we have another space too with Judge Joe Brown. Be sure to catch that. But yeah, a lot of disappointed people. I say this right here: why pass anything if the actual cash, if the cash of the descendants of chattel slavery is not going to be included? Like, what's the point of even moving further along with this? One issue I had about this, and Camila was in the space before, and the same thing, we were talking about giving back, land that was seized unjustly. When I heard that before, I said it, and I say it again, that is so wide that that's going to apply to so many different people that are actually not actual descendants of chattel slavery as well, too. If you're in California and the government unjustly took land from you, then that means anybody, Mexican, white, Asian, you name it, can get that as well too. So that's not particularly pertaining to Black Americans, and that's the issue that a lot of people had as well too. An issue that I had as well. You need something that's just going to be centralized on Black Americans. And the fact of the matter that, that you stop any kind of cash payments, and you have to have a agency that's going to oversee the actual reparations measures as well too, like you had. And I know people had an issue with the actual Freedmen's Bureau back in the day or whatever, but you got to have an organization that's going to actually oversee everything that's going on as well too. If you don't, who knows exactly what? And the organization needs to be made up predominantly, if not totally, of all people that's descendants of American chattel slavery as well too in this country. So that's the issue I had with it. I see Quadir's coming up here, and like I say, guys, she should be coming up in here shortly. But for those that want to speak while you're waiting, go ahead. We're getting this conversation started right now. Go ahead, Quadir. You got it. What's going on with you tonight?
Hey, what's going on, Toter, DJ, host, co-host, and the whole room? How y'all doing? Hope everybody's doing well.
Hey, what's up now?
Hey. So I'm going to be straight to the point. I'm not going to be long-winded. Cut straight to the chase, right? We all know they like to play in our faces. The Democrats, what they did was horrendous, but we saw it coming. But it was a good thing because now everybody woke up. Even people who are still Democrat apologists are starting. They're pretty much, for the most part. You still have your 2 or 3 that's being real retarded, but it is what it is. Now, what I want to say is, right, since they're, hitting us in our pockets, man, we got to find ways to hit them in theirs. And I'm being so serious. I called around over to California to see what lawyers would take, a class action lawsuit against, First Amendment rights, because what's his name? Isaac Bryan is over here blocking a lot of us on Twitter. So I'll call some lawyers over there to see if they're willing to take up a class action lawsuit for our First Amendment rights. Now, a lot of them are acting scared. It seems like just like some sort of weird hands off these type of cases for some reason. But my question is to people: do y'all know anybody who's willing to take these up? And because we gotta do something, we can't just sit around and let them play in our faces like this. Something has to happen. And I give them the mic.
Real talk. Thank you, Quadir. I want to know exactly what are the Black people out there in California plan on doing with the actual, members of the Black caucus who didn't actually support this, who actually, basically said, well, now's not the time. We doing this. And it's a lot of wordplay people throwing in there as well too. Like, well, we need to further evaluate. There's nothing to further evaluate when it comes to actual compensation being paid as well too. So what are Black people actually in Cali? I want to know. We got Cali Love up here, and hopefully we get some other Black Californians up here as well too. But exactly, what are you guys planning on doing about the people that were have been a thorn in the side right here? This is something that should have went ahead. And Newsom, he's trying to wash his hands with as much as possible. He's trying to go ahead and get as far away, it seems, from reparations as possible. So it's going to be interesting to exactly see how these Black people out there in Cali, how they're held accountable when it comes election time. And like I said, I know we got Cali Love up here. I know she's from California. Cali Love, did you want to say something?
Kind of, sort of, but I wanted to kind of go back a bit to the what is it, 1050 bill that passed. This is the oddest thing, is that some of us said the same thing, that with that land, eminent domain, that can actually apply to anybody, any other ethnic group. But guess what? The very same day that they were denying to even hear the last 2 bills, guess what did pass? AB 1950. And that's a bill that, let me see if I can get to it, because I had actually pulled it up. Let me see. Give me it back on my search engine. But what it's doing, it specifically says Mexican Americans who had property taken from them between 1951 and 1959. And what they did was apparently the city had taken the land in order to build housing projects. And then somehow the Dodger Stadium ended up being built around that time too. So again, somehow they bill passed, but all our other ones didn't. So when it comes to that land, although they didn't apply under that same that bill, they crafted another bill, a separate bill that would still award them an amount. They get a study, a reparation study, and it really says that. It says reparation study board, what you call, not board, task force, and then they're considering how much money that they're going to allocate to those. Is 300, it was 300 homes that were taken, but it's only 5 descendants left from out of that. It's called the AB 1950 Chavez Ravine. And I mean, it just, when you read through it, you have to really read through it, especially through the analysis. It's so similar to AB 3121. It's like they just went through the chapter by chapter and pulled out what they needed in order to create a bill. Now, are there Black Americans that are included in AB 1950? No. It's Mexican Americans, and I believe it also says Asian Americans, because at that time, Black Americans didn't live in that area. That's in the East LA area. So how is it that they got a bill for eminent domain and we didn't? It's funny and shaky and shiny. That's some bullshit. You can pull it up, and it passed on the very same day. Now, it passed the assembly, but apparently it still has to go through the Senate. But do I see it being denied? No. So something funny and shaky is going on. Something that's going on that it's not right. It's not right. They took that $12 million and reallocated amongst them other bills that was written. And a lot of those bills that were written says specifically designated for Mexican Americans or Cambodian Americans or Korean, Japanese, and Chinese. They don't say nothing about Black Americans, nothing. So they taking our money and shifted it around. And that's just not cool. That's not cool. Now, what we plan on doing, well, that's the work in progress. So apparently folks is meeting up between now and next week and, in the future in order to a strategy would be done, because we already know they don't need to be in office anymore. And a good number of them actually supposedly represent the larger population of not just LA County, but the Black population in LA. There's one senator, Lola Smallwood, and I forget her last name because I think it's a Cuban last name, but her ass is right at 3870 Crenshaw Boulevard. So she's located right in the hood. No different than Reggie, Jones Sawyer, and all them. They did us low. They did a do low on us, and that shit ain't right.
Hey, you got the cursing, Callie.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
I apologize. And that's just not right. It's just not right the way that they did, and it's just not gonna come off right. And then to be in the same state that VP Harris is supposedly was born in, held offices in, and not one time did she have a contact and say, "Hey, what's with them bills? Well, can we get them passed?" She didn't do that. Oh, and then the other thing, before I go, your boy, the councilman See, he claims that he's a councilman in Riverside County. And he also claims that he had helped get an assembly member elected. Now, the only assembly member outside of, I think his last name is Jones, because I wrote him down, that's in Riverside County, operating out of Moreno Valley. That's the only one that we can either come up with. Everything else, old boy is a little shady, because he be talking out the side of his neck, and then he come in one of the spaces the other day and say, well, I could have contacted this and I could have contacted that. But if you're an assembly person and a council person, whatever he claimed, whatever position he claimed to hold as an elected official in California, whether it's in Riverside County or not, you have direct contact to the California legislature. And you have direct contact to the California Legislative Black Caucus. But for some reason, you didn't contact them. So it's all suspicious. And then the other thing is that old boy been up in these rooms for the past 6 months listening to all the reparation conversations. And then he slip off into the bad Dems room and then talk about everybody. So I say this. He could have been one of them people who had made one of them calls and say, don't pass that bill. Don't pass none of them bills. Because let me tell you the conversations that go on Twitter that I'm listening to. So I'm suspicious of all of them. But they passed that AB 1950. If you look that up and read through that, it's like, it's a done deal. It's wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. No vote. No vote. Just no vote. And the plan is to, go around to them folks' offices and have conversations with them. Because they've been in our community holding events, fairs, all kind of stuff, sponsoring this, sponsoring that, and then at the last minute in the 12th hour, then what they do. And then one of them, Isaac Bryant, he decided he's gonna go get married. So I don't know. It's up in the air, and I ain't gonna say it's up in the air like that, but there is a plan. But I'm not gonna, spill it on over here, because we already know we got some ears that ain't supposed to hear.
Callie, real quick, let me I'm gonna come back to you, and let me get to Path of Just, and then we'll get back to you as well. Path of Just, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Thank y'all for your spaces. Your work is very beautiful and strong. I think 2 points of conversation to add on to what the sister was saying. I forgot the name because I got terrible memory. But one point is, I don't think there's been really much discussion about how the federal Democrats decide to all this. We're looking at Nancy Pelosi, who not only ran the Democratic Party, and it's a very top-down party, not a bottom-up party, but she's been by a lot of reports, very instrumental in California politics, specifically despite not being a state official. And then we remember the 2016 memo where it was released while she was still head of the Democratic Party, where they're supposed to, quote unquote, listen to black issues, but not promise anything, seeming like it's the same continuous of that policy. In addition to the reality of the same night that the Democrats undermined the reparations bill for black Americans, she was talking about benefits specifically for illegal immigrants and making them documented immigrants. So that, in addition to, apparently there was a Homeland report for Department of Homeland Security where they're talking about additional $38 million for funding of communities receiving migrants. So it's clear that the official policy of the Democratic Party, if they're not even hiding anymore, it's pretty much fund the illegals and to continue to deny neglect / economic and political destruction of Black America. So that's not even debatable anymore. But I think we need to have honest discussion about how this is tied to the federal side of things and how it's the Democratic Party as a whole doing that. And then the second, to add to the sister's point, was that, I think it's just not just in California, Black Californians that are pissed off. Y'all are more pissed off than the rest of us, but I think Black America as a whole is in shock. I'm not really even seeing too many people who are advocating for the Democrats other than, the normal shields like the other people and such. and what's his name, and then the tether is like what's his name, Uncle Luke. But otherwise, you don't really even see too many black folk really even say anything positive about Democrats. That caught a lot of black folk really off guard. A lot of black folk knew the Democrats were going to run it. It was one thing knowing it, and there's another thing seeing around 4K. So I think this is actually a very prime opportunity for, if we as the people, we organize, and this may be a time to get our own political party and pack, because there's a lot of black people who are done with the Democrats. It's not just a little. It's a lot. And honestly, both Democrats and Republicans, like they've been polling in what the favorabilities of less than 30%, and a lot of polls over the last 10 years since before the Bernie Sanders campaign. They're both very unpopular parties. So other than their access to the two-party system, which is difficult to beat, and ridiculous amounts of money through the donor class, the parties are weak as far as their popularity. So this may be the time to strike. But I just want to put that out there, and thank y'all for the conversation.
All right, appreciate you, brother. Thank you. I'm still waiting on Camila Moore to come in, guys. I'm still waiting on her, so hopefully she'll be in soon. But like I say, until she gets in, she can. You guys, we can just go ahead and kick it, and let's go ahead and keep the conversation flowing. I see we got Sister Sean up here, but I know she had a space yesterday, I believe, that she co-hosted in. So hopefully she didn't get anything mixed up, but because she's supposed to be in here tonight, so. Hopefully she'll be up in here soon. We've had her a number of times up in the Newstoter Space /broadcast, and it's always been a good exchange as well too. So hopefully we can get her up in here soon enough, I'm hoping. But Sister Sean, go ahead, you got it. Unmute your mic.
Yes, peace, power, and what we're calling it now, restitution, and not reparations. What California demonstrated to us yesterday is that we need an alternative. We don't need to be beholden to the U.S. congressional process. And I'll talk about that secondary. But I have to, Callie Love, I have to do some comments on what she said. And I didn't know about this. And I just thought about what she presented to the community. At that stage, those last 200 bills, these were end of session bills that were to be voted on for the year. Basically, they kicked the can down the road on the Freedmen's Bureau, and they kicked the can down the road on cash reparations. But what Callie was bringing to our attention that I literally just found out about minutes ago, she talked about AB 1950, and that is something related to an eminent domain law. Well, we have been suffered and injured and deserve restitution under those very intimate domain laws since we were dropped here in 1619. This is how we lost all of our land. So I will call that the AB 1950. She brought it to my mind again, and thank you. I call it the Dodger Stadium Bill. You guys got to understand what this really means and what she was really saying. There was a isolated populace. It was a populace of groups who lived in the area where they built a baseball stadium. And in the bill, which they clearly defined, and they displaced those groups. I'm not sure what the year is, but it's more in the current year. Has nothing to do with history and all the displacement that we have been through. So that little small group of people, not to disparage them, because some big entrepreneur or investor wanted to build a baseball stadium. Most of them were Hispanic, and I think she said she'd come back up. Some of them were Native Americans. They were displaced for that stadium. And they put specifically in the bill, listen to what she said, reparations to pay them. That populace will be paid. That was one of the bills that was on the floor for end of session, and it passed. Number one, I didn't even know about that. Thank you, Miss Callie Love. Number two, what I also know is that another piece of legislation, I want you guys, I keep saying that because I want you to know the difference or how we're losing going through the legislation process, is that this zero interest loans access for immigrants to get $150,000 for their first time home down payment. I want to know which Negro, freedmen, FBI. I want to know, raise your hand if you got a cousin, an uncle, or auntie that got $150,000 on anything for us. I don't think you can do that. And I believe that bill was also part of the last 200 bills on the end of session that just passed along with our bills. They passed those bills, y'all, but they did not pass. And I'm going to be remiss because I cannot remember the numbers to be specific. But the two bills we had on the table was for Freedmen's Bureau, and the second bill was for cash payments under reparations, no studies. Now, those two bills that I previously referenced got passed without a study. I call it the Dodger Stadium bill. Callie Love called it AB 1950. All right? They got that, whatever. I don't know the number. That $150K. You can get money towards up to $150K. This is a major problem, family. A major problem. And here's what I want to also remind the community. That California is named behind a black woman. Her name is Queen Khalifa. That's where the name comes from. The origins and even the founding name of that state was behind a black woman. Now, here's where I have grief and sorrow and anger. And I'm going to wrap that up to execute positivity and something that solutions, tangibles. I thought about, think about this, y'all. We can't have so short memory. Didn't we just have in Tulsa, Oklahoma, we had centennials, meaning people who have lived 99 over the age of 100. I believe the official names, they call them centennials. They were up for their reparations. And this country, this wicked country, would not even approve reparations for some that were living. And they always give us the story that it's too late, it's too long, it's all time ago. We had people living, and they voted against giving that. I think it's about 3 of them left, y'all. They voted against giving them people their reparations, and they got bombed and traumatized, pillaged, and plundered. And here we have, what a disgrace. Here we have another opportunity in California. To me, I think that's redemption. To at least, if we lost in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at least we can win in California. And these Sambo Negroes, these bootlicks, these people with no backbone, no courage, the cowardice, male and female, one's cosplaying as black woman, and all these people that are in the position of power, but they're only in the position of pumping the hell out of us. So I hope we learn the lesson in California, and I actually feel good about it. It hurts. What's that saying? I think there's a saying that say it hurts so good. And I'm damn mad and pissed. So I want to take the family, and I can't wait. Let me just give homage to Camila Moore. Man, that task force, if you all been watching them for the past 2.5, 3 years, it was a lot of hurdles that they had to pass and jump to even now that we're in the moment and about to cross the finish line, you're gonna do some nickel dime ninja mess, the Black Caucus, and who's coming to save the day? Who has the lifeboat? A white Republican trying to put the motion out there, and he only needed 1 second to get it back on the floor because the CBC leaders, not just black folks, it's other ones too, they behind it. Didn't want to give him a second. That's all he needed to get it back on the floor. Man, if this doesn't tell our people something, and if this doesn't tell us the level of betrayal, and if this does not make you understand what you are up against, I don't know how else to teach you. And the biggest lesson here, and this is where it's going to get cloudy, convoluted, and difficult. We cannot take a black face and make it something that we put our eggs in, that it is a alley-oop. A black face has to be dissected, it has to be vetted, and it has to be understood. You can no longer walk in your job, everywhere in your life, just because you see that black face, especially if they're in the position of a power. Don't you think they got you some good? What we are learning is we got a lot of black faces out here that ain't got no good for us. They up to no good. This is what we have to understand. And everybody that voted against in the shenanigans in California, I ain't even from California. I'm yelling and screaming from the outlines and the sidelines. I'm on the damn bench. But I'm screaming for California. Everybody that voted for that mess, vote them down. I don't care. Let the Republican, the white man, came up for us. And I believe I heard a comment. He said, well, hell, if you can vote for $150,000 for illegals, I'm darn sure I'm gonna interject my power, and I would at least vote for reparations for the people I know been here since built the country. Come on, y'all. These people, our people that look like us, they're not doing the right thing. It's not the complete blame, because there were also others on that assembly. I think it's assembly. I have to understand their structure. But there were other people who can step in who were not black. But those who were black and the ones with it, they should have stepped in, and they should have motioned that white congressman, Billy somebody, who put in the motion last minute. They did not. He threw them a lifeline and they didn't take it. They let us drown instead. And I'm just going to end with that. Them Negroes let us drown. When the white man gave us a life vest. This is what we dealing with. The betrayal of the Negro. So we have got to get real clear about there's some people that are vicious, very hurtful to our community. Now, somebody got to wait a whole nother year when Kamilah, the Dodger Stadium, she said they even put reparations in the bill. They didn't even study. They passed it. Eminent domain. A group of Mexicans and Native Americans, they about to get their bag. Come on, y'all. We can't even get a bag for the Tulsa, Oklahoma, the people that are alive, that were alive, 99, 100, 103. I mean, does Sister Shaw have to wait till she's 103? God, I hope I make it to see some reparations where everybody else is getting paid, they're getting the check, and nobody has to do a study. So I can't wait, Newstoter, for Camila to get on here, because I know she's going to really give us, and let me just get back to her and the task force. I know there was some bumps and bruises, but we have to give flowers to her, because she did stand 10 toes down all the way up to the actual vote on the floor at the hearings. It was a fight, but the fight got sabotaged by Sambos. This is a Sambo sabotage. This ain't no white man sabotage. This is Sambo sabotage. So now, I want to end with, I want you to, I don't know if she's here. There's other ways, in many ways, to skin a cat. I want to direct everybody in this space to go to Gerald Sanders' page. And this wasn't even connected or planned. And she has actually filed a DOJ case with the Department of Justice with a demand letter directed to Biden and Harris for restitution for our people. And this is a pathway. It's non-legislative. We don't need nobody's damn votes. We're going directly through them, through the executive process to give us our check. Go to her webpage. It has already been introduced. We need to encourage the DOJ to consider that suit. That suit is a restitution suit, non-legislative, not a reparations suit. And I saw her here. I wish she's, I don't know if she's still here. But it's very, very important to understand that she will be doing a Q&A on it, but it is already filed. There was some news. I don't want to speak in front of her.
Real quick, Sister Sean, because we got some hands. So let me get you to wrap it up so we can get to the hands.
I'm gone. I was hoping I'm scrolling.
I'm looking because she's supposed to be in here. She hasn't got in here yet, so I'm hoping because like I said, I know she did a space yesterday, but she's supposed to be in. Yeah, she's supposed.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying she's supposed to be in here, so hopefully Camila, because I don't have a number. If I had a number, I would have given her a call, but hopefully she'll be in here soon. Normally, when she does a space with us, she's in here. She's in here pretty early, so I don't know. I hope it hasn't slipped her mind and she forgot. But if anybody has any way of contacting her, just let her know that the Newstoter space is going on, and we're still we're definitely still looking to have her up in it. So I'm hoping that I don't know, because I know she's a lawyer too, so you never know what how her day looks. But
most definitely, she's probably being overwhelmed since the hearing.
Yeah.
But I will fall down. I think she will come up. I know she was swinging. She was up there left and right. She was jumping around a bunch of spaces that night. So, I mean, I don't know, but I'll DM her. I don't think I have that much power.
Yeah, I DM'd her already. So hopefully, like I said, I'm not sure. Hopefully she's online too. So hopefully, guys, it won't be too much longer, because I definitely wanted to get her up in here and for people to ask any questions, and then because she's right there on the ground, so she knows exactly everything that's going on. But we'll get back to you though, Sister Sean. Stay up in the speaker section. And we'll get back to you. Let me get to that Negro. What's going on tonight? How you doing, fam?
Hey, brother. How are you, Newstoter?
I'm doing good. Good to hear from you.
Good, fam. Yes, both ways, man. Both ways. Let me do my thing, brother. Salute to my dear brother Newstoter and brother DJ. Peace, power, and American Negro reparations, specifically for the Black American Negro freedmen who built this country with slave labor per the lands promised in Special Field Orders 50. January 16th, 1865. Camila Moore on Cali reparations and Cali Black Caucus, treachery. I couldn't agree more, and I am here to extend Sister Sean's brilliant message as usual. Look, I put up in the Jumbotron, I know you ain't for everybody doing that Newstoter, and I usually just put them in the purple pill, but this room and this action is a mandatory, y'all. If you haven't signed the reparations, if it ain't cash reparations, it's not reparations. If you haven't signed that petition, it's up in the Jumbotron. Please sign it. Also, on that, with that Jumbotron post, it's also pictured every single one of those treacherous Black Caucus members, California Black Caucus members. It's got their name under it, so we can really give them hell. So please, sign the petition. I ain't asking for no money. We ain't asking. This is a Negro Collective's petition, so it isn't me. It's all of us. We ain't asking for donations. We are simply asking for your signature. Please sign and put that forward. Sign and share. If you want to throw some money, of course, that'll get a lot more stretches with it and a lot more views. But all we need is as many signatures as we can get. So please sign the petition. But and look at those names and give them hell, y'all. Give those California Black Caucus treacherous. Let's give them hell. And let them know that what they did was treachery. And it truly was a literal knife in the backs of all of us. Even worse than that, the backs of our ancestors, the backs of the people that really did this work and built this country. So please sign that petition. Everything Sister Sean, I will agree and double everything Sister Sean said. And the time is now, y'all. We are waking up, and I am so glad to be in this collective of amazing American people searching for our just due. And I'll land right there, Newstoter. Thank you for the space, brother.
Thank you. Shout out to my brother, that Negro. Y'all make sure y'all follow that Negro as well, too. Y'all follow that Negro. Camila, she's up in the space. She must be having some issues connecting. Okay, I see her now. She's up in the speaker section. So shout out to Miss Moore. I know you have been having a very, 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 very hectic last couple of days. I was wondering, I said with everything going on, I hope she hadn't forgot that we had the space going on tonight, but I'm so glad to have you up in the space tonight. We got a couple hands, Miss Moore. I'm going to go ahead and get to them, and then we'll go ahead and get to you. Black Vanguard, I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead. Let me give a shout out real quick to my boy EHZ for the contribution on Cash App. Y'all can support Newstoter on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Also, we do have the membership for the website. That Negro is he's actually a member on the site as well, too. You can support us monthly for as little as $1.75. Support Black-owned media, support Black-owned media, support Black American media as well, too, guys. Support Black American media. It is crucial and it is very important. Let me go ahead and get to the Black Vanguard. Black Vanguard, what's going on with you tonight? Oh yeah, you kind of got an echo there. I can hear you. Go ahead, because you got an echo, but go ahead. We're gonna give you real quick.
Yeah, so I was at the California things that happened in Sacramento. Man, you had Reggie doing Sawyer show. When she came out, he started waving his hand, doing a bug dance, and really have total respect for our people. And also is that Reggie doing Sawyer was trying to run for local office. We got him up out of here. We stopped at one local office. And he's done in November. That's all I gotta say. We don't have to worry about him though, but the rest of the CDC members though, all of them gotta go though, because they not the best interest of our people though. Like the Democrats, they basically done in November though, because what they were trying to do is that they very knew what they were doing though. They did that stolen tactic to try to bypass the November 6th term. They basically said they forward, but they not. It was Republicans that put the bill on the floor, but then it gets second motion. Then you had someone like Isaac Bryan. He was blocking the Republican. I forgot Bill, I forgot his name. Sister Camila Moore, not know his name though. He put the bill to the floor, but they didn't get no second motion of the Democrats though. So the Democrats definitely blocked the reparation special between Black parties. So they definitely against all of us. I have some videos in Jumbotron for y'all to look at. Take a look.
That's it, Black Vanguard. You done?
Yeah, that's it.
All righty. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Callie Love, and then we're going to get to Miss Moore next. Go ahead, Callie.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm not going to obviously read the entire thing, but I will read just a paragraph, and let Ms. Moore go, and then anybody can comment. So what I'm going to do is just go to according to the author section. So it says AB 1950, the Chavez-Ravine Accountability Act aims to correct an injustice that displaced families and has lingered in the shadow of Los Angeles East Side history for far too long. Amid the 1950s, the vibrant community of Chavez-Ravine homes to mostly Mexican-American families, as well as Italian-American and Chinese-American, saw an upheaval as families were uprooted and displaced in the name of progress. Families were promised a return to better housing, but instead they were left destitute. For generations, Chavez-Ravine stood as a beacon of hope and resilience, embodying the dream and aspirations of families who built their lives within it embraced. With this legislation, we are addressing the past, giving a voice to injustice, acknowledging the pain for those displaced, offering reparative measures, and ensuring that we honor and remember the legacy of the Chavez-Ravine community. So I'm gonna just stop there because there's a lot more that goes in, and it explains in detail some other aspects that I thought was like real disturbing. And like where it says the residents of the Chavez-Ravine in the form of relocation benefits. This is, I guess, some of the provisions that the SB 19, not SB, but AB 19 is willing to compensate that community for. So it says the city of Los Angeles must compensate non-land-only residents of Chavez-Ravine in the form of relocation benefits, healthcare benefits, employment-oriented services, educational scholarships, or other forms of compensation deemed fair and equitable by the task force. And so I'm going to just go ahead and land there and let Ms. Moore go.
All right. Thank you, Callie. Appreciate that. Camila, how you doing tonight? I know you've had a really hectic schedule. I'm sure pretty recently. I know yesterday you were in a space as well too, I heard. So I know you've probably been jumping back and forth doing spaces, interviews, taking questions and everything else that you could. How you doing? I hope everything is well with you. I'm glad that for a second I said, well, maybe she forgot she's been so busy or whatever, but I'm glad you were able to join us tonight. I hope everything is well with you. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. At first, I apologize for being late. Yeah, I just had some things to do with some things that popped up with the family. But I apologize. And I'm here and I'm present. So just happy to be in conversation with y'all about what's been going on.
Thank you. I just wanted to, because, everybody, what you've been definitely on ground level, ground zero there, and knowing everything that, that's been transpiring and all the hard work that you and everybody else has done in terms of the reparation fight out there in California. Exactly, just because I'm out here in Florida and the Sacramento Observer, that's one of our curation partners. So, everything we get is, secondhand. We get it after everything's been published. Of course, I've been reading up on it and everything else. But what happened with everybody, doing the switcheroo? What happened? Well, I mean, you guys work so hard to get certain things put up there. And then when it's time to go ahead and, try to get into law and everything, then we it's like the old game show, change your heart. So exactly, and just in your opinion, in your words, tell us exactly what happened and with the cash payment and everything else. How did this thing just flip-flop the way it did?
Well, I was on the task force, the reparations task force, and I was the chairperson of the task force. The task force had to comport with international human rights law standards when we were developing our recommendations. So, under international law, there's, I say this all the time, there's 5 forms of reparations, and compensation is definitely included. And we took that part very seriously about calculating potential compensation for descendants of slaves. We even hired 4 economists to help us crunch those numbers, including who you all probably know, Dr. William Garrity. So I just want to be clear that the task force itself, definitely recommended compensation specifically to descendants of American slaves. However, our only power was advisory. So we were a legislative advisory body. Our only power is to advise the state legislature on the types of proposals that they should turn into legislation, and then that Newsom should sign into law. And so the task force has been over for about a year now. And so we essentially passed the baton to the state legislature, where the California Black Legislative Caucus, took the initiative to, introduce reparations bills based on, the task force's work. They chose not to introduce a direct cash payments bill for this legislative session. So I know that was kind of a long answer, but I kind of wanted to provide clarity around the piece that you asked about cash payments, and why, there's no direct cash payments bill this particular legislative session. Will there be the next legislative session? Hopefully, maybe. We'll see. I say hopefully. But, it's dependent in part on the California Legislative Black Caucus. And so in terms of what happened this past Saturday, there's a short story and there's a long story. The short story is that 10 Black elected officials in the assembly betrayed the entire Black American community, betrayed their longtime colleague, Senator Stephen Bradford, but really betrayed the trust of the entire Black American community, not only in this state, but nationally as well, because we know California was the first state in the nation to do this work. We beat the federal government in doing this work. And so what we did in California is supposed to reverberate in it throughout the state and throughout the country, and it has. I'm a bit emotional because, like you said, I personally put in a lot of time and sacrifice.
Well, I don't want you to feel like it's your fault, so don't feel like it's your fault.
Don't be proud.
No, I don't feel like it's my fault. It's not even tears of frustration more than sadness, because these 10 members could not put aside their own self-interest and ego over the needs of their community. I'll go into more detail, but essentially, Senator Stephen Bradford, who served on the task force with me, he, at the last hearing of the task force, May 2023, he broke down in tears at the last hearing because he said that participating in this task force was the most transformative experience in his political career. And he's been serving in the state legislature for over 12 years, and this was his last year in the legislature. He's termed out, so this was his last opportunity, to serve in the state legislature. And now he's running for lieutenant governor, and I hope that people support him in that. And so right after the task force, he introduced two bills, 1403 and 1331. 1403 would have created a new state agency called the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency. It's one of the recommendations from the task force that I actually wrote, and inspired by reparationists that are in this very room, right? This was a collective effort in terms of what that agency looked like, in terms of the recommendation and the legislation, right? And so he also introduced 1331, which would have created a new account in the state treasury, particularly for descendants of slaves as well. Now, this is where the story kind of starts, right? He introduced those bills right after the task force ended August of last year. And there was word that the members of the California Legislative Black Caucus were upset that he introduced these bills on his own, right? Apparently there was rumors that, they were holding a grudge against him for bringing these bills on his own. Now that begs the question, maybe some people are asking, why did he bring these bills on his own? Well, I already stated, right, that he had a very transformative experience on the task force. And I think in part it was a difference in strategy, where the California Legislative Black Caucus, and they admittedly said this, in their reparations package that they introduced January of 2024, they wanted to focus on low-hanging fruit, quote unquote. They wanted to focus on policies, proposals that may have been in the task force's report, but a lot of the things that are in the CLBC's reparations package are actually things that they were working on prior to the task force, and they refurbished it and put a reparations label on it, but that's another story. But in all, the CLBC strategy for this first year of introducing reparations bills was to introduce what they call low-hanging fruit. However, given the transformative experience that Bradford had, given that this was his last year in the legislature, he wanted to aim high. So he wanted to introduce some of the more strongest recommendations from the task force, which included the Reparations Fund and the Reparations Agency. So while, yes, there was rumors that the CLBC was upset at Bradford for introducing these bills on his own, there was also word that they had mended those differences. And that's indicative of the fact that these two bills, the CLBC, throughout the legislative committee process, right before it came to that final step on Saturday, they had all voted in favor of Bradford's bills throughout the entire legislative committee process. So over 8 months, they were on record, not what they were saying and telling people off record or behind the scenes, but their legislative record showed that they voted in favor of these bills. Now, this is where we get to where most people are coming into this story. Now, this past Wednesday, we heard, certain people heard that, okay, these bills are going to pass, right? Certain people traveled all the way up from, down from South Carolina to Sacramento to, sit in the gallery to see these bills pass. They didn't pass on Wednesday. People started to get worried. They didn't pass on Thursday. People were starting to get worried. And then we heard that this California Black Caucus told Bradford at the very last minute that they would no longer be supporting his two bills. And the assembly, the Black Caucus members who were in the assembly would not be introducing his two bills on the assembly floor. This was the final step, introducing the two bills on the assembly floor for a full assembly vote was the final step before it would have gone to Gavin Newsom's desk. And if they actually introduced the bill on the floor and it passed, which Senator Bradford said there was the votes to have it passed, but they refused to introduce it on the floor for simple debate. If it had passed, Newsom would have had between September 1st through September 30th to either sign or veto those bills. And so, we also heard, for instance, that so not only were, they held a grudge, so to speak, against Bradford for kind of going out on his own and introducing those bills, but we also heard and learned, right, Bradford stated this in the press, that last minute, August 26th, so that's also like 3-4 days before the legislative session deadline, Governor Gavin Newsom's office comes to Bradford with last-minute amendments for the agency bill. And his last-minute amendments would have changed the agency to a 2-year study bill on further research on the task force's recommendations, as if that's necessary, and a further study on how, eligibility through genealogy could be determined. And that study was supposed to be housed in the Cal State University system, and they also said funding would go to that system and nonprofit institutions to help with that work. Bradford told Newsom's office, no, respectfully, we will not be taking these amendments. That would change the complete nature and purpose and intent of this agency, and respectfully, we don't need any more studies. The time for action is now. And so, the CLBC, also Bradford came to the CLBC with these amendments. However, if you see the California Legislative Black Caucus press release, they said something like, oh, we weren't a part of the legislative process. A very poorly written press release, by the way, that anyone with common sense would be able to exploit. So when they said they weren't a part of the legislative process, they definitely weren't, saying that they weren't able to vote on these bills throughout the 8 months, because the legislative record says that they've been supporting these bills throughout this entire time. What they were saying and what they said to the press was Bradford didn't come to them on time with the amendments. Bradford in the press said that's not true. As soon as I got the amendments from Newsom, I reviewed it with my team, and I went immediately to the CLBC. And so, CLBC members essentially also were saying to the press and to others in the community that they didn't want to introduce the bills to the floor, because they, knew it probably would have passed, because they got word from Newsom that he would have vetoed these bills if it went to his desk. And so CLBC members stated, for instance, we didn't want to risk the optics of Newsom vetoing any of our reparations bills. So we just decided not to introduce Bradford's bills. One other thing I'll add before I stop is, I was there on Saturday, drove up in the caravan with reparationists, and the scene, it was just very disheartening. For one, they closed off the gallery, so we couldn't actually go into the assembly chambers to see the business being conducted. Talked to an employee at the Capitol. They stated that, and Bill S.A. Lee, which we'll talk about, also tweeted that he's never seen that before. He's never seen the gallery closed off before, where they said it was pass only. And then on top of that, they weren't giving passes to any of us. And that was ordered by Assembly member or Speaker of the Assembly, Robert Rivas. Completely discriminatory as far as I'm concerned. And so you have, the climate, also CLBC members, completely, almost, because I'm a spiritual person, it was just, I'm not even going to say it, but they were completely standoffish. They were completely, people tried to plead with them, reason with them, use logic with them. As they came out of the assembly chamber sometimes to come to the rotunda for water and things, we would have to catch them to talk with them. And they were just completely flippant. It was just completely disrespectful. Black Vanguard, he was up there. He said, Reggie Jones Sawyer was taunting folks. Some Black Caucus members, like Assembly Member Chris Holden, Assembly Member Kevin McCarty, Assembly Member Mike Gibson, just completely refused to talk to the people. Assembly Member Isaac Bryan was caught on tape by a Republican Assembly Member Bill S.A. Lee, physically blocking Bill S.A. Lee from introducing the bills to the floor. It was just absolutely, it was just sad, it's indescribable and unconscionable. And so, for instance, I saw a tweet from Assembly Member Camila Weber the next day, but she had tweeted it around 8 p.m. So that was like 3 hours before the midnight deadline. Someone took a picture, I presume her staffer or maybe another elected official, took a picture of her reading a book, I think with their feet kicked up on the assembly floor. And Camila Weber tweeted, "There's so much downtime the last day of legislative session. I'm so glad that I read my book. I'm so glad that I brought my book." But meanwhile, when we were trying to talk to her in the rotunda area, she was completely, I hate to use the word aggressive, but that's essentially what it was, where she was like, "We're not bringing these bills." Someone tried to plead to her, "These bills are modeled to honor the legacy of your mother." Then Shirley Weber, who is a lineage-based reparations advocate, who helped create the task force. She wouldn't even acknowledge that. So, it was just an unfortunate scene, unfortunate series of events. And at the end of the day, clock struck midnight, and those bills were killed by a small group of people who put their own interests and ego over the dire needs of their community. Because we are struggling here in the state of California. We needed that agency, and we needed that fund. They may not have needed that agency. They and their personal family members may not have needed that fund, but the majority of us needed that. And so, I'll just say lastly,
Nebraska.
Again, tears of frustration, not weakness. Tears of frustration, not weakness. I want to make that clear. The last thing I'll say is I think that the California Legislative Black Caucus is calculated. I think that they think that they're more politically savvy than they think that they're more politically savvy than they really are, because I think they expected, in carrying Newsom's water, I think they expected for no one to notice. I think because they seem kind of the same group of people, kind of going to the task force meetings, engaging with them in the committees, in their offices, showing up on Saturday. Oh, they assumed, oh, you guys aren't a threat. You know, not in that sense, but we don't have to listen to you. You know what I mean? This will blow over. They completely miscalculated that. And so now they're going to have to truly answer to the community, because I'll really end with this, I promise. That $12 million, as far as I'm concerned, and I believe was reported by one of the budget committees, that $12 million was reserved, supposed to be for Bradford's bills, for that reparations agency and that reparations fund. Now that begs the question, and also just want to put in there, you know, the CLBC, namely Lori Wilson, I believe, in the press, and I think Sacramento Bee article, and Newsom's team said, oh, there were cost issues related to the agency and the fund. But the budget committees stated that the $12 million that's been allocated for reparations this upcoming next year was for Bradford's bills. And on top of that, the nonpartisan legislative that announced his office said the agency would only cost $3 to $5 million to start. So what is the cost issue when the CLBC's bills, like ending natural hair discrimination in competitive sports, which is a good policy that was from the task force, passed, or, you know, notifying grocery stores, notifying employees and community stakeholders when they close to address food apartheid. You know, those are the types of bills, or an apology bill that was introduced by Reggie Jones Sawyer, where the only cost would be a plaque in the Capitol. What I'm trying to get at is the bills that the CLBC passed, and I supported those bills. I drove all the way to San Diego to speak to the San Diego Board of Supervisors, to the San Diego City Council. I was a part of the CLBC State of Black LA event at UCLA. I supported them. And Bradford supported them. And we expected them to support us back. And not just us as individuals, support the community, because there is community support for Bradford's bills. And so getting back to the last point that I wanted to make, because, there's a certain budget office that said that $12 million was supposed to be for Bradford, because that agency would only cost $3 to $5 million to start out. And so literally there was no real cost issue. So that was a poor excuse. This begs the question, and I want everyone to pay attention to this. Where is that $12 million going to go? That is the question that everybody needs to be asking the California Black Caucus. It's time to follow the money. And I'll just end by saying that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Get your breath, sister. I know you put your whole soul into this to the task force and everything else like that. And everybody's proud. I mean, you did everything that you could do. So I see she's disconnecting, but you can hear how emotional she is. You can hear, it really, really hurts. So she's coming back up. Let me clear and get her back up here as well too. So and everybody's proud of the effort that you and the task force did as well too. It's not your fault. One thing I do want to know, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kick it to the speakers up here. And Camila, I want to ask you this real quick. The actual 10 people in the Black Caucus, are these people up for election anytime soon? And the actual districts that they cover, are those districts predominantly Black districts, white districts, of your knowledge? Do you know?
Well, yeah, all 80 assembly members are up for re-election. And it was the Black Caucus Assembly members who had the responsibility to introduce those bills to the floor, and they refused to do it. So yes, Assembly Member Akilah Weber is up for re-election. She's in the Assembly. Assembly Member Isaac Ryan is up for re-election. Who else part of it? Assembly Member Lori Wilson, she's up for re-election. I believe Mike Gibson as well, Corey Jackson. Kevin McCarty is running for mayor for Sacramento, so he's no longer going to be in the Assembly. And Chris Holden, Assembly member, has turned out, so he's not going to be in the Assembly. I may be missing somebody, but I'll try to find all their pictures and post it in the Jumbotron from a tweet that already exists. And so, interestingly enough, in California, there is no majority Black district in the state. So all of these elected officials, serve districts that are non-majority Black. So that is something to note.
No. Okay, I just wanted to see, because these people here, they really need to come election time, and I don't know, because they are in districts that are not majority Black, from what you said, then it may be kind of hard to go ahead and punish them and hold them accountable. But we really need to be going ahead and trying to find a way to really put these people out of commission in terms of their political careers, because what they just did was treasonous. So they definitely need to go ahead and be put down for the count. And anyway, our people out there in California, if you guys can mobilize, and we can't let these people go ahead and do what they just did and then have this long story political career as well too. They just made their beds. So now they have to be put down for the count. We cannot allow these people to sit around. We know that majority of people will do that, but we got to go ahead and try to take care of these people as much as possible. We got some people trying to come up here and speak. So if you guys are up here in the speaker section and you don't have your hands up and you're not going to speak right now, let me drop you down or drop yourself down so we can go ahead and get more people up here that will speak at this point in time. I see Quadir is coming down. So let us see if we can get somebody else who's not speaking right now. We can go ahead and get you to disconnect so we can go ahead and get some other speakers up here. Window, Reggae Room, are you guys going to speak? If not, we're going to have you drop down. Somebody drop down so we can go ahead and get some speakers up here that want to speak at this point in time, and then we can come back and get you guys as well too. So
yeah, Reggie Romaine, I don't know to put my hand up. I want to speak. I'm with Camila. I'm with CJ.
Okay, I'll get to you, Reggie. We got some other hands up, and Martin X was up here. Is Martin X still up here? Martin X must have dropped down, so we'll come back to Martin X. Now I'm going to get to the new speakers first, and then we'll get back to our ones that will speak. Sir Major, go ahead and unmute your. Let me get to Reggie, and then we'll get to you, Sir Major. Go ahead, Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie Romaine, aka WR, CJ Coalition for Justice for California. Camilla's like my little niece. We met at Levert Park. We took that 5.5 ride up there. We was chatting, we was singing, and I listened. Hey, how old are you, Camilla? She's in her 30s, I think. But this is the queen of reparations right here. Y'all salute her, salute your queen. Look, I listened to her all the way up there for 5.5 hours. Look, I follow every talk show she was. I still want to know more. I was on the other side of her when she was in California Reparations Task Force. I was one of the public speakers, and we went back and forth with her. But she did a tremendous job, and I say salute her. Yeah, queen, tears of joy with you. It was sad. What happened there, we get all the way up there, just like she said, they wouldn't even let us in the farm. We had to stay outside, but we chanted. It was loud. They said, okay, y'all keep being loud, we're going to throw you out. We got loud. We never stopped. They was watching on the TV in the forum. They was hearing us way on the other outside the thing, you know what I'm saying? So we did what we had to do. We was yelling at the Judases, the CLBC members. It's nothing but Judases. They sold out. They let Gavin Newsom tell them what to do. After 11 hours. We wanted to fight it, but they told us that we couldn't get up into the area to the forum because in January, the Palestinians came up there and they was doing bottles and everything. I said, well, we ain't got to bring no bottles up there. We just going to watch the whole thing, but they didn't want us in there. But however, we made good time where we was, and just like you said, we got hit lists. That's what we get together. We got a hit list, And the 10 that's up there, trust me, they won't be there. But salute to you, Queen. How you?
All right. Thank you, Reggie. Appreciate you coming up here as well. Let me go ahead and get to Sir Major. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's going on, Newstoter? Thank you for allowing me to come to your space and speak. Beautiful space. Shout outs to Camila Moore, who's been doing a lot of groundwork and also making sure that the interests of Black Americans are protected. We don't give enough credit to our foot soldiers, and oftentimes they pour so much into us and they have nothing left for themselves.
Sir Major, can we get you up a little bit louder if possible?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay, cool. I said a lot of times we, as organizers and foot soldiers, we pour so much into the people that we have nothing left in our own country. We pour so much in, much is expected out of us. So I was saluting Camila Moore, and I think everyone should be supporting her because she is in California, and she has been the face, if you will, of the movement for reparations in California. And we've seen her travel not only and do work throughout the state of California, but also she goes to other markets, having the conversations that we had, rolling out a blueprint for other states and other cities to follow. So that's all to be commended. What I would also say is that I want to congratulate and thank everybody who had tweeted about what was going on this past weekend, who was sounding the alarm and sending that sense of urgency as to making the compelling argument as to why Black folks should care about politics that are happening in Chicago. Many of you all who don't live there could have said, you know what, that's not my fight. I've got nothing to do with that. But you all thought it would be robbery to do something, so we commend you all. I'm working on some projects simultaneously.
Hey, real quick, Sir Major. Everybody's saying that you and Reggie's volume is real low. Are you on a headset?
No. Can you guys not hear me now? Is it better?
It sound like you're a little bit. The people, everybody on YouTube is saying y'all low.
I can hear really good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure what's going on with everybody on YouTube. What I would tell you is this: I am working right now with other state lawmakers and other folks to place certain people. And to get this done, it's going to require all of us to put hands involved, hands on deck, if you will. I talked to a lawmaker. He recommends strategically to deal with Corey Jackson and get him replaced first. Okay? We got to be able to have a very successful win. He did not win by a large margin in his last race. He's doing a lot of stuff. We're putting transgender stuff and other bills and migrant bills before Black Americans. And even white parents are saying, Hispanic families are saying, yo, you're not even protecting your own group. And so strategically, it makes more sense to get Corey Jackson out of office first. Once we take Corey Jackson out politically, then it'll send a message, a strong message to the Black Caucus. These guys are serious, okay? Go after anybody else. Strategically, it makes more sense to go after Corey Jackson. Also, we're going to be doing a space where we're vetting candidates. So I've got about 5 or 6 candidates that are working to replace the members of the Black Caucus. Some of these candidates are Black. Some of these candidates are Republican. Some of these candidates are not Black. But if we want a strategic win, we have to be able to recognize that an enemy of my enemy is my friend. What the Black Caucus did in California to Black Americans was treason. It was treachery, and there's got to be some accountability. I'll say this last week. I've had a conversation with a particular PAC. The PAC that replaced Cory Bush. The PAC that replaced Jamal Bowles. I'm willing to work with and talk to anybody where we can have some sort of alliance to replace Coons. And so I'll leave it where it's at. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Everybody online is saying that they're having a hard time hearing the last 2 speakers, guys. So if you guys can, if you could turn your phone up as loud as possible, because everybody on YouTube, we got a bunch of comments saying that they can't hear that they can't hear exactly what everybody was saying and stuff. So if you guys can try to, I don't know if you got a headset on or you can turn your volume completely up, but everybody's having a hard time. everybody's having a hard time hearing the actual speakers speak in the actual space as well, too, guys. So if you can, please go ahead and definitely try to work with your sound as much as possible. I got 2 new speakers I want to bring up. So if anybody that's not going to speak right now wants to drop down, let me go ahead. Israel, I think somebody may be dropping now. Let me see real quick. I want to add let me see. Israel, I know you haven't spoke yet. Were you going to speak, or are you if not, let me drop you down just for okay, we got a couple people that dropped down. So for those that's up in the speaker section, if you guys aren't gonna if you guys aren't gonna speak at this moment, just drop down, stay down for a second, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get you back up when we can. Let me go ahead and get to like I said, I want to get to
Can you see the hands?
Yeah, I can see the hands.
Oh, okay. No, because you know what, the volume does go in and out. So a few speakers I didn't even hear.
Oh, okay, yeah, because everybody was having issues saying that they had a hard time hearing the speaker. So let me go ahead and get to Stepper. Stepper, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yo, I just had a question. Who said Gavin Newsom said what he said about the bill? Where's the source on that? Because people keep deferring to Gavin Newsom, even though it's considered it could have been him. If Camila could answer that. And then what's with this guy Isaac? I see he was in a video speaking to the other Republican. What was his interest? Was he trying to do something or not? And that's what I wanted to ask.
Okay, I don't know if Camila, she wants to go ahead and answer that. She can.
Yeah, so I think in my remarks it said, Newsom's team stated 2 things. One came to Bradford with last-minute amendments to change the agency to a 2-year study. That's in the Jumbotron. That's been posted by journalists. The actual amendments that Governor Newsom's office sent to Bradford. So that there's that. I'm going to. I think it was in the Sacramento Bee, is the statement from one of the California Legislative Black Caucus members, that stated that if, these bills were introduced by them in the assembly floor and then voted on and passed and then, went to his desk for consideration, he would veto it. That was in one, I think it was in the Sacramento Bee, but I'll look for that as we continue the conversation and put it in the Jumbotron. And then the question about, I think you said Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, 41st Assembly District. What is with him? Was that the question?
Yeah, I was a little bit confused, and I was a little bit shocked because he has done some good work, some questionable work, but more good work. What was preventing him? I know somebody has had to hurt him. What was preventing him from addressing the bill?
And I haven't talked to him. Yeah, there was this video. I'll try to find that Bill, Republican Assembly member Bill S.A. Lee, I believe, posted himself. Well, definitely Bill S.A. Lee is the one who filmed it, because it was only the staffers and the elected officials on the assembly floor. But yeah, Isaac Bryan caught on tape trying to prevent Republican Assembly member Bill S.A. Lee, Arab American millennial elected official, from introducing the bill to the assembly floor. I learned that not a lot of people in the legislature and the assembly like Bill S.A. Lee, Democrat or Republican. Like, he's kind of ostracized in a sense, maybe it's his personality, his viewpoints, his positions. However, I think, I think that, he should be honored in a sense. He should be, right? We should, I appreciate, let me just speak for myself. I appreciate him. I appreciate him for having the political will and the courage for doing what these 10 Black people couldn't do for their own community, right? Because even if Bill S.A. Lee, let's say, as a Republican, if he introduced the bill and got a second, even if he abstained, even if he voted no for the bills, the fact that he just wanted it to be introduced so that there could be a democratic process, so there could be a debate, right? our own Black elected officials denied us that opportunity. That's shameful. And so I applaud Bill S.A. Lee. I don't care if he was going to vote no for it. I applaud him for doing what any elected official should do. I am ashamed of not only the Black legislative caucus, I'm ashamed of the white progressives in the assembly, like Assemblymember Buffy Wicks, Assemblymember Matt Haney. Assemblymember Buffy Wicks ran from us as if we had a contagion, as if she was scared for her life. When we simply just asked her, we wanted to have a simple conversation with her. Assemblymember Buffy Wicks, can you please talk with us? Can you please help introduce the bill? And she was just completely disdainful. There's on camera, Assemblymember Matt Haney from the Bay Area, supposedly is a progressive, walked straight away from us with Black Caucus members, Assemblymember Mike Gibson, Holden, and McCarty. And so, yeah, not only am I ashamed of the Black Caucus, and I definitely am more ashamed of Black Caucus because I expect more from them, I'm ashamed of the white and non-Black progressives in the Assembly as well. Because when Bill S.A. Lee was able to introduce the bill in the motion, he didn't get a second motion from nobody, from none of the 79 other Assembly members, because they were all following the lead of the California Legislative Black Caucus. They saw, oh, y'all don't care about y'all own community. Thanks for giving us the green light. We're not going to care either. And so, I mean, that's a long story. So, yeah, I think Brian, like, yeah, he supported some good stuff related to criminal justice reform and, you know, prisons and jails. Like, that should be applauded in a sense. But what was his issue? You know, he was siding with the Legislative Black Caucus. And like I said, you need to follow the money. Because if those two bills, because Bradford's bills just died, that begs the question, where does the Black Caucus want that money to go to? Where does Isaac Bryan want that money to go to? Where does Akilah Weber want that money to go to? Where does Corey Jackson want that money to go to? That's their issue, Stepper. The money.
Yeah, you answered that real great, and I hope we get to the conversation where we're able to highlight that these people are supposedly being progressive people, right? They're making all these criminal justice reforms, all these liberal ideas and trying to move the country forward, so they say. But reparations and Black American liberation is the thing that they never want to commit to. So keep your eye out for that. And to me, it's almost like a smack in the face because we have a big issue here. Reparations is clearly an issue for everyone. Everybody wants to support everything else, but it looks like when we're trying to get tangibles for Black Americans, people are having issues. Democrats, all of the Democrats, Joe Biden, Kamala, I wouldn't be surprised if they would have been on doing the same exact thing. So, you know, family, we really got to pay attention to that. And I'm feeling like, you know, New York, its time is coming. I'm feeling like I might have to flip some tables up in that bitch. So, yeah, well, watch out because they might have to drag me out of that shit before.
Language.
We're not encouraging that at all. But I will say that New York Reparations Commission has started, and so is Illinois, but particularly people need to be watching New York Reparations Commission because some of the same actors that sabotage this process in California or try to, but they're not going to prevail. They thought they won, but they might have won this battle, but they're not going to win in the long term. Obviously, look at all the media attention this is getting. Look at all the people who are mad and angry, right? Who deserve answers. But I will say, yes, more and more people need to get engaged with that New York Reparations Commission. Absolutely. Because the same kind of actors that were, you know, trying to mess up this process in California, they're there in New York as well. They are going to
respond to that. When I was actually in one of the hearings for the city council.
Hey, real quick, Stepper. I'm gonna let you get this last question, and we got to move it around.
There was only one to two people, 1 to 2 city council members in that building, and there was a protest going outside for immigration, for asylum seekers. And Jamani Williams, public advocate of New York, stepped out to go to the immigration protest during Natasha Williams' hearing on reparations?
I'm not talking about the city. I'm talking about the state. None of those names that you said are New York State reparations commissioners. I just wanted to make that clear. I'm talking about the state commission, but I know the city has its own commission as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. For some of the speakers we got up here, Sister Sean, that Negro, I'm going to drop you guys down for a second because we got like 3 speakers trying to come up here, and we'll bring you guys back. But let me go ahead and get them, and then we'll come back and we'll get you guys as well too. So don't leave. We're just trying to clear up some space for people who already spoke, and so we can bring up these new speakers up. If you're not going to speak, guys, don't come up here. If you're just gonna come up here and sit up in the speaker space, because we got a bunch of people with hands up trying to speak. So if you're not gonna speak at this moment, don't come up here. But if you are gonna speak, we'll go ahead and we'll keep you up here. Let me go ahead and
hello, can you hear me? This is Wendell Woods.
Hold on real quick, Wendell.
Hello, Newstoter.
Yeah, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we may have to, if you're having a hard time, we may have to drop you back down. But Wendell, let me go. I'm gonna go ahead and get to you. We got a couple hands before you, and then we'll come back and we'll get to you. Let me go ahead and get to
Okay.
Let me get the Reverend. Well, matter of fact, Wendell, you were up here early. You keep having some technical issues, so let me let you go ahead and get it in now, and then we'll go ahead and move it around.
First of all, thank you, Newstoter, for this piece you're doing. More importantly, Camila Moore, your outstanding service to the community, to this nation, and to the world needs to be committed. NAACP, all organizations should be giving you awards. You should be receiving compensation. But the question I asked earlier with you in another interview with Newstoter was, has the Biden administration contacted you? And secondly, has the Camila for President committee, have they contacted you?
No to both questions. No to Biden or Kamala Harris.
Okay. Then the next thing becomes a strategy. How do we organize to get an executive order, to push for an executive order ASAP and put it on record, either a letter to the Justice Department or to the Biden administration? Because, as you know, he can do it through an executive order through the Constitution to set up the Freedmen's Bureau, which he should have already done. That should have already been done with assistance of the Department of Treasury. So that should be a strategy that we also employ, but more importantly, not to lose sight of asymmetric warfare. We need to continue to build community and build businesses, use our collective knowledge. There are a lot of Black people that won't support it, but the bottom line is that as long as we can put our money together to focus on certain businesses, aspects, whether it's food co-ops, whether it's savings loan and credit unions, we got to build our community. We got to walk and chew gum at the same time, because the political agenda will always be controlled by corporate elites and corporate pedophiles and corporate criminals. So we have to recognize that. And as you say, the coons. So how do we build our savings and loans, our food co-ops, and help with our homeless situation, to get the resources to our community through our own means, like Marcus Garvey said. The government, yes, the federal government, we can wait for them, but we don't have all the time to wait for them. We can be building within our own, because we spend $1.6 trillion a year. That's what we spend. So how do we use that money to build our own communities? Thank you very much, Newstoter.
All right, no problem. Thank you. I'm going to drop you down, Wendell, so we can bring up some new speakers. That Negro, I see you got your hand up. I'm trying to get to the new speakers. I'll get to you in a second when we start bringing back up the speakers that spoke, but I'm trying to go ahead and get the ones who haven't had a chance to speak, a chance to come up here and speak real quick. Let me go ahead and get the Reverend.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Who was that speaking? I can't hear.
This Callie, I had a question for Ms. Moore.
Well, real quick, Callie, because because let us get to some of these new speakers up here, and then we'll come back to everybody who spoke before. Let me get Reverend Tim up here. Reverend Tim, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. Oh, you was gonna let me ask a question or go to Reverend?
No, let me get the Reverend Tim first. Let me get to a couple of the new speakers, and then we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Reverend Tim.
Hey, Newstoter, thank you very much, man, for giving me an opportunity to ask a question. And my question is to Kamilah. Did I say her name? Your name right? If I'm not, daughter, I'm sorry. But my question to you is, what did you guys do to even get in the building to get this here started? Because here in Minnesota, we have almost a similar bill as you do. And the black African American gentleman that his name is John Thompson, that we got voted into the House of Representatives. They ended up booting him out. Now the reparations bill here in Minnesota is being carried by a Somali, believe it or not, because we don't have any black leaders here that will carry that bill, because they're afraid that if they start pushing that, they're going to vote them out of office. So right now, if you look at House File 2397, it is a reparation bill, and a Somalian is on that bill, carrying that bill right now. So how did you get in? What did you guys do to get in the door? Because we can't even get in the door here, right? To the point to where basically to get this here bill even heard, and I want you to understand that the Democrats here in Minnesota have the trifecta. There is nothing that the Republican Party can do. If the Democrats wanted to pass this bill, they could do it tomorrow. So what did you do? How did you guys get in?
Well, I think members of, the organization that's CJEC, they worked with, at the time, Assembly member Shirley Weber. And so I say all that to say, to get in the door, Shirley Weber, she was very well respected when she was in the Assembly. Now she's California's first African-American Secretary of State. So she was very, and she served in the legislature for a very long time. And so, she had the political clout, so to speak, for lack of better words, to, champion the bill that created the task force, to be able to successfully shepherd the bill through the state assembly and the Senate into Newsom's death. So, I'm not sure, who introduced the bill in the Minnesota legislature, but I think part of the calculus is having, a respected, elected official to champion the bill, that has, the political clout to get it done. But, I think there's other things that you could consider as well. You guys should have, try to meet with each and every, elected official, get them on record about, the bill and where they stand, and then, talk to your community members, organize a campaign to, get the elected officials, organize a concerted effort, right? You can say, oh, we generally support this. They'll, but there should be a concerted effort organized to, tap in with the community and, lobby these elected officials to move the bill forward. So do you know by chance who introduced the bill? It's okay if you don't, because even if you say the name, I won't know them. So it's okay. But yeah, maybe just do some research on that.
Well, like I said, if you look up and see who John Thompson is, we got John Thompson elected to the House of Representatives for a reason, because he was an African American man, and he can push certain bills for us that we needed. What happened with John was John had a checkered past, kind of a really bad checkered past, but we were still able to get him voted in. And then once John got up into the House of Representatives and started moving his weight around, the Democrats were afraid because they realized that they couldn't control him. And the Democratic Party, and he was a Democrat, and the Democratic Party ran an Asian against him. They funded an Asian against John Thompson, and they got him removed from office. So once he was removed from office, his bills, all the bills that we sat down and talked about, he was trying to push, poof, went away just like that. And a lot of those bills were for the black people here in Minnesota, but the Democrats actually ran somebody against them
funded the Asian woman, and he lost his seat.
See, yeah. Wow, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean that's what it's gonna take. I mean, having someone like a Shirley Weber in the state legislature, where they can't easily do that, is in part of the calculus. So, yeah, I would just say that. Hopefully, there are other people, maybe people in the legislature that kind of share the same kind of fervor for reparations.
Are you saying we need Shirley Weber? More people like Shirley Weber? Is that what you're saying?
Hold on, Ellis. Stay on your microphone.
Ellis, I'm talking about the fact that Shirley Weber had the relationships with it at the time she was in the state legislature to move this task force.
Her mother is on the assembly, ain't she?
Hey, Ellis, stay on your microphone.
You're kind of coming into this story literally like 3 days ago, and I appreciate your passion.
I've been on this for a while, Camila.
Hey, Ellis.
Okay.
Hey, Ellis. Can hold on 1 second, Camila. Hey, Ellis, can you hear what I'm saying? Stay on your microphone, and we'll get to you.
Yes, sir. I got you.
Thank you, and that's for all the other speakers as well, too. Guys, stay on your microphone. Put your hands up, and we'll do our best to get to you. Go ahead, Camila, and then we're going to go ahead and get to the next speaker.
I'm not making a comment about Shirley Weber as a person. I'm not making a comment about her daughter, which I already made critiques about her daughter, so please slow your roll. It's a political analysis about who this assembly member was and how that was important for getting this task force to even be a thing, for this conversation to even be a thing today, right? When she was in the assembly, she was well respected. That's literally, I'm just speaking facts. When she was in the assembly, she was well respected. She was in the legislature for years at the time that she introduced the bill to create the task force. She had good relationships in the assembly and the Senate, and all of those facts taken together helped push this legislation that created the task force to be an actual thing. And so I'm suggesting not for someone to find another Shirley Weber, because that will be literally humanly impossible. But I'm telling people that they're going to have to find an elected official that is well respected in the state legislature, that has relationships and is passionate about the issue, to be a legislative champion for, this task force legislation, wherever state you're in. That's simply the statement that I'm making. Nothing more.
All right. Thank you, Camila. Thank you. Reverend Tim, I'm going to drop you down. As everybody speaks, I'm going to be dropping down the speakers and stuff. So let me go ahead and get to bad news. Bad news. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Love, peace, and reparations. I just want to say first, the sister is not Camila Moore. It's Camila Moore. You're not going to do our sister like that. No. I heard that.
It's Camila.
It's Camila. Camila, yeah. Don't be saying no Kamala. Don't be doing it like that. Cold-blooded. Nah, but seriously, the fact that back to this vote, we have to look at the optics. And who took that 5-hour drive, 6-hour drive, 7-hour drive? They were expecting the Black Caucus to bring about the bill. Whether it was, supported or shot down is of no consequence. We could deal with that because, the Republican who stood up, he was like, no, present the bill. He might have had some heat for the reparations. You know what I mean? He might have liked it. I got you. I want to, because that's our legislature. And when he saw the injustice of, well, we're not going to put it, he like, hold up, no, man, I get all this. I got my aides. I got statistics. I'm about to prove that these don't deserve it. These mother lovers don't deserve it. That's it. He could have, He could be fully against reparations, but he said, no, you bring the bill. The fact, it would have been okay if they voted it down. That's when you troubleshoot. Even Gavin Newsom, I have reservations about this bill. And we troubleshoot. Okay, what are those reservations and how can we mediate those reservations and we can move forward? Because at the same time that you had our people screaming and shouting at these people who backstabbed you, you had the migrant community in the parking lot dancing. They pushed their agenda. Now, the thing is, everybody was expecting the Black Caucus to just present the bill. It's a very simple thing. If it fails, it fails. But if it fails, you can troubleshoot. We don't even know what might have been wrong with the bill because it wasn't even put to the fire. So my question is, was there a phone call made? Because these assembly members are not in majority Black spaces. Oh, because, that Black and brown stuff stops at politics. I mean, it's good for the games. Y'all stop killing each other and all that. But politically, I don't see that alliance. None of them spoke up for us, but those who we thought would speak up for us spoke up for them and disregarded us. What changed? Everybody who hopped in that car to go and push in reparations was expecting them to do this. Now, did they just dangle a carrot and never had any intent to do it? Or was a phone call made, not from even Gavin Newsom, but from, oh man, we're from this organization. We'll make sure that you won't, win the next election because we have this amount of people. It's totally jacked up. Because even if our reparations pass, we won't say, calling our cousin from Detroit, man, hey man, come on to California and get you some of these reparations. But I can almost guarantee that those migrants called their cousins and said, we getting home loans, we getting this, we're getting that, we're getting this, we have this support, we have this protection. But when it came to us, the Black Caucus turned their back on us. So what happened? Because I thought everybody was aligned up until the point of introducing the bill. Hopefully I'm making some sense. Hopefully, I'll land right there. But it was for Sister Camila Moore. Like, when did when did it change? Like, where that wasn't the trajectory, because everybody's expectations was that we was going to push it. What happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. Just still asking that, I said at the start of the conversation, some of one of the first excuses, I'm not going to say reasons, one of the first excuses that Black Caucus gave for why they did what they did was that they were, mad at Bradford for introducing the bills that he introduced without him, or before them, I should say. Because, it's not even to say if, he brought these bill ideas to them as a caucus, they would have even agreed to have it as part of their package, right? So, but the fact that he introduced those bills before them, was one of the excuses that the Black Caucus gave for why they didn't initially support it. However, like I said at the start of the call, there's evidence via their legislative record that they got over that grudge, because in the 8 months, right, literally 8 months, actually over a year, to be honest, because Bradford introduced his bills August of 2023, but the actual legislative session started at the top of this year. So, there's evidence via their legislative record, and Assemblymember Isaac Ryan says this himself when Bill Asalee is videotaping him physically blocking Bill Asalee. Isaac Ryan is taunting Bill, saying, hey, you've supported anti-Black policies in the past. You really care about reparations? And then Bill's like, bring it up for a vote. I'm trying to just introduce it. I'm trying to just have, a democratic process about it. And then I think Brian.
And was there a fear, sister, that they would, and I'm sorry to cut you off, I just want this fear that we gonna see who not really for our reparations and they didn't even want to do the vote?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, I think so. That definitely was the fear from the Black Caucus. But I will say, I just wanted to note that I think Brian in that videotape, he while he's taunting Bill Asaley, he tells Bill, I voted for Bradford's bills this entire legislative session. And then Bill was like, okay, well, if you voted for his bills the entire legislative session, what changed? Why won't you just introduce a bill? Why won't you just second my motion? Why are you physically blocking me from introducing the bill? If you just said out of your own mouth that you voted for these bills throughout the entire 8-month legislative process. So something's not adding up. That's essentially what Bill was saying. And so,
thank you, sister. I'm gonna put myself to the audience. I really appreciate you, Sister Camila.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Do I still have to wait?
But yes, sweetie, we trying to get to the people who hadn't had a chance to speak yet. So we gotta because everybody up here, real quick, everybody up here for the most part has had a chance to speak. I'm gonna try to get everybody to go quick so we can get back to the ones who spoke. But if you've already spoke up here, that's why I'm not bringing people up here who already spoke. Professor DJ, let me bring the people up here so we can go ahead and get to the ones who haven't had a chance to speak yet, and then we'll go ahead and get to everybody else who already spoke. Let me go ahead and get to Duncan. Go ahead and unmute your mic, Duncan.
Attorney Moore, I thank you for the work you've been doing. I would like to ask 2 questions, or maybe 3. For one, I hear people say that so goes California, so goes the rest of the country. So I would like to know, how would that affect true reparations in regards to federal reparations? And my second question, when will you all be able to have a chance to bring this back to the table again to see if they'll talk about it? To begin with.
Yeah. The second question first. So the next legislative session, it starts back up this winter, like late, I think November or December. But really, we're probably going to see the Black Caucus try this again. It's the same. We'll see. The Black Caucus as an institution. We don't know who the member is going to be just yet. But the Black Caucus as an institution will probably be, as an entity, we'll probably be introducing these bills, around January of the top of the year, just like how they did this past year. So they'll probably be introducing a new set of bills January 2025. On the question of so goes California, so goes the nation, I think that the reparations movement has only become stronger. Ironically, glory all be to God due to this situation. And so, obviously, California is still in the conversation, and I say still leading this conversation on a state level. I'm not talking about communally. I'm not talking about organizationally, obviously. I'm just talking about on the state level, because so far New York and Illinois are the only other state reparations commissions. So I think California is still leading the way in what true reparations should look like. But we're organizers are, essentially, working together to hold the Black Caucus accountable and, see a stronger set of bills of what true reparations looks like in this next legislative session. And I think what happened again today, this week, ironically, all glory be to God, has only revitalized us and I think made way for a stronger conversation and push for cash payments reparations on the state level and nationally as well. So also
do you think if they got cash payments on the state level that would take away the incentive?
After this question here, Duncan, we got to move to the next person.
Understood. But let me let her understand my question in total. Like the way y'all got legalization of marijuana on a recreational level, it took away y'all incentive to push for federal legalization. I don't hear that conversation as much as it used to, right? So if you all get cash reparations, what would be the incentive for federal real reparations for people who are not in blue states?
Oh, that's a really great question. And actually, maybe, I mean, I might agree with you that, okay, maybe do we kind of stop pushing for cash payments on the state level and turn to, help our people in red states and push federally for cash payments? I would be down for that. But
that's kind of like selfish if y'all just did it in these blue states when you are, we know what the game is, but I'm going to take myself down and I'm going to continue to listen. But I hope you all remember the people in Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, where you all know that y'all will be leaving us in the dark if they forget about it. And I support reparations, but just not cash payments on the state level.
All right. Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, brother. We got to go ahead.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. We got to go to the next speaker. Thank you, Duncan.
I just wanted to say I have a meeting soon. I'm sorry, but I'll try to say on just a few more minutes. But I'll say, I hear what he's saying. I agree with what he's saying. But I just wanted to make a clarification that like cash payments on the state level, in terms of what the task force came up with, it's for evidence that our economists like Dr. Dirty, where they found like evidence of the state of California specifically harming descendants of slaves in 5 particular areas: Black businesses, housing discrimination and homelessness, unjust property takings, health harms, and mass incarceration and over-policing. So the cash payments in California, if they actually were a thing, it would be for the state's culpability and perpetuating those particular 5 harms. So I just wanted to clarify what the cash payments in the state level would be. What was the justification based on what our economists came up with? But I actually agree with what he's saying, and I low-key would be down for that. Let's just go all in. Let's just push cash payments on a federal level. I see both, ideas.
Thank you. I'm going to get a couple more speakers, and I'm going to keep it to 2 minutes for everybody so other people can have a chance, because Ms. Moore's trying to, she has a previous engagement that she's trying to get to. So we're going to go ahead and keep it short, 2 minutes. I'm going to get to, I think is it Arrow, John? And then we'll get to JG, and we'll get to Mary. And Ellis, I didn't see Ellis up here. Ellis, after Arrow, then we got Ellis coming. So Arrow, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but go ahead, you got it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Shout out to the host and the co-host. I have a question for Ms. Moore, if you don't mind.
Yeah, keep it quick, but go ahead.
Yeah. So the National Democratic Party has held the same position on cash reparations since July 23rd, 2007. They do not support cash reparations, period. That being said, do you think what happened in California had anything to do with that the National Democratic Party still does not support reparations?
Well, I will say that that's what some people did kind of surmise or theorize, that, some people might call it a conspiracy theory, but hey there, you never know. Stranger things happen. That the call to kill the bills came from the higher ups of the Democrat Party because of fear of if these bills passed and they were signed into law by Newsom, how that could negatively affect the Democrats in the national election. So people have definitely mentioned that in the fallout of what's happened. No, I'm not entirely sure of that, but hey, it could be true. I will say though that the Democrat Party, they say many things that they contradict themselves, just like the Republican Party as well. But in the Democrat Party platform, they do say that they support reparations.
Not cash payments.
Yeah, but yeah, they support the study of reparations. And then when the task force got the attention of the Biden administration, when we were doing the task force, the Biden administration's answer to the White House reporter at the press conference was, "Oh, we believe in reparation, but we think it should come from Congress," right? But it's just this half-ass, for lack of better words, commitment to this issue that's just we're not standing for it anymore. We vote for the Democrat Party over 90%, and so it's essential that they fully commit to this issue like they do other issues as well.
All right. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to the next speaker. Let me see. Arrow, I'm going to go ahead and drop you real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the next speaker. Ellis, go ahead. You got it. Ellis, go ahead real quick. Ask her a question real quick.
I just feel that, having watching this, I just feel that Kamilah has been kind of going around like an apologist for what happened, and I'm going to tell you why. I think a lot of us had suspicions that this was a political stunt, right? It was passed. You got to remember how this came into effect. I believe it was AB 3121 that was pushed by Shirley Weber when she was running for re-election, and it happened right after the George Floyd protest. So they were trying to capitalize off the Black Lives Matter situation. I don't think they ever had any intention of really going forward with it just by the way that they passed the bill or the way that they crafted the bill, right? But to come on here and to act like we didn't see what had happened, I just feel that it's gaslighting at this point. You know what I mean? I know that you're very...
Is that what y'all got from it? Put the emojis in the chat. Put 100 if y'all agree with it. I want to see.
I mean, it's not...
Because that's definitely not what I'm doing. And I don't see no hundreds.
Okay. But that's what I feel that's been going on. It's been an apologist. Now, I know you wasn't involved on the floor, and I spoke out for that.
So is she real quick? If she wasn't involved in it, how could she be an apologist then?
Damage control, also I would say party affiliation.
Damage control. When this article just came out 39 minutes ago, when I said a complete betrayal, California Reparations Task Force leader responds to legislative Black Caucus decision, where I said they chose to prioritize their ego and their own self-interest over the people they claim to serve. How is that being any type of apologist to them? Nigga, who are you? And
she told me as much. She told me as much in the DM as well too. When I asked her before we set this space up, how she felt about what they did out there. So I haven't heard any apologist type attitude from her at all.
Yeah, I've been getting that attitude and that energy.
Yeah, you need to get dropped with the energy.
That part.
Okay, Ellis, do you have anything else you want to add?
That's what I want to know. I ain't seen you. I never seen you in a task force meeting. I didn't see you on Saturday stumping the yard.
Where you wanted me to drive?
6 a.m. to midnight. Yeah, if you had to drive across the country and you care so much, yeah, you should have done that. Yeah, you should have done that. You should have done that because I don't tolerate disrespect from anybody.
Disagreement is not disrespect.
You're disrespecting me, and I'm gonna.
Okay, Ellis, because we got to go ahead because we got other speakers. Is there anything else that you want to ask her pertaining to this, or is that it?
What's your question?
Drop them.
Okay, I'll drop them. I got it. I can handle it. Ellis, is there anything else you want to ask her pertaining to the actual topic?
Yeah, I just wanted to know. I'm out here in San Diego, and I know Shirley.
Oh, and you couldn't make the drive from San Diego? I'm thinking you in New York or Mississippi. You know we. Yes. Whatever it takes.
Hey, they drove 7. They drove 7 out.
No, I'm saying, but you wanted me to drive all the way out there so I can stand outside with you.
Yes, baby. Yes, baby.
Okay, well, Ellis,
And you only got to drive once.
Okay, Ellis, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on, Ellis, and because we got other speakers that want to speak as well too. So thank you. All right, let me go ahead and get to let me go get to the JG. Then I got Mary next. Go ahead, JG, real quick because we're trying to go ahead and get because Miss Moore, she has something to do. So I'm trying to get to as many of the new speakers, and then we'll see if we have. Hold on, Sister Sean. We gotta go ahead. We can't cut over other people now. We gotta give them a chance to speak too.
But I've been here.
Yes, sweetie, but you spoke as well too, and other people haven't had a chance to speak, so we gotta give them a chance to speak as well. Go ahead, JG.
Kamala, because she wasn't on when I spoke.
I understand that, sweetie. So are you saying that you should go ahead over the people that's been waiting as well too?
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay, I'm saying we gonna get, if y'all, hey, give me a minute. We'll go ahead and we'll get to the, I already said we're gonna get to the new speakers and we're gonna come back to the old speakers as well. Go ahead, JG.
I'm agreeing to let her just go ahead and speak before me, if that's okay.
Well, no, because then we got Mary waiting then. So if you give up your space, I'm gonna go to Mary.
All right, well, here's my question then. It's your room, you run it how you want to. Here's my question for Camila. 1331 was the easy layup. It was basically the establishment of the state fund, where nonprofits, corporations and the federal government and others could actually donate or put money in the fund that would go towards reparations. Do you believe or think that, what I found interesting was I didn't see any of our legacy organizations, NAACP, Urban League, none of those people were down there and have said that I've seen anything. But do you think that fund is in direct, correlation to what would it disrupt what they're doing right now? And is that possibly why they've been silent on this?
Maybe. However, the California Legislative Black Caucus, they have been working with an entity called the California Black Freedom Fund, which is a collection of nonprofits, some of which Dr. Cheryl Grills, who was on the task force, when she was controlling communications, gave a lot of the Anchor Org money to her affiliates. So essentially, and this is what, if people have been following, I've been trying to whistleblow and call out the corruption of, certain people trying to encroach into this sacred justice claim since the beginning, since I was on the task force, right? Certain task force members colluded against me to get me kicked off of the communications committee so that they could continue to try to control the narrative about what reparations should look like, even though it was illegal in this state to do race-based reparations. And we saw what happened on the Supreme Court June 29, 2023. And so so I say the CLBC has been partnering with the California Black Freedom Fund, and many of the nonprofit organizations that are within the California Black Freedom Fund include California Black Power Network, Live Free, but none of NAACP, for instance, is not in the California Black Freedom Fund. So I can't speak for the NAACP or the Urban League, for instance, for why they weren't, at the Capitol. But, maybe they, I have no clue. So I don't even want to get into speaking for them because I'm not involved with them at all. But I will say, I think kind of like they deal with so many issues. I think maybe, I don't know if they took a hands-off approach, so to speak, on this. They weren't very intimately involved in the task force meetings either, unlike the organizations that are part of the California Black Freedom Fund. I will speak up for the NAACP California Hawaii branch because at their lobby day, they did have their youth, their Black American youth, going to each and every assembly member lobbying in favor of Bradford's agency bill. So I'm bringing that up as an example that we can't paint these legacy orgs, so to speak, with the same brush, because the California Hawaii chapter did what they had to do. They brought their youth down in lobby day. They lobbied legislators for those bills, for Bradford's bills, each and every one of them, Black, white, or otherwise. So I just want to make that point. So, the jury's out on kind of where the legacy organizations stand on this. But, I will say it's the organizations that do racial equity work within the California Black Freedom Fund. Those are the organizations that people need to pay attention to, particularly in this situation. When we're talking about following the money, if Bradford's bills got killed, right, that begs the question, where is that money going to go to, right? The CLBC just did a whole summer tour. They're still doing a tour with the California Black Freedom Fund, right? If those two bills were killed, where is that $12 million going to go? It's going to go to the California Black Caucus and the California Black Freedom Fund and the orgs that do racial equity work within that fund. the same orgs that Cheryl Grills tried to, use her influence to get money from the task force as well, right? That's who we're talking about in California right now. We're talking about the CLBC and the California Black Freedom Fund and the organizations that are officially a part of that fund. And you guys, I encourage you guys to Google it and start following the money.
Okay, thank you, JG. I got to drop you so we can go ahead.
Oh, let me just say one more thing
To
make this make more sense. So the California Black Freedom Fund, they do racial equity work. And you know how the Supreme Court just ruled against race-based affirmative action under a diversity rationale? The executive director of the California Black Freedom Fund, I believe his name is Mark Falarp, he wrote a press release when one of the appellate courts struck down, the Fearless Fund for Arian Simone, the woman who did the venture capital fund for Black women. You know how one of the appellate courts struck that down and said that's unconstitutional. Where the executive director of the California Black Freedom Fund, who the CLBC is working with, wrote a press release when that decision came down. Also, the Black Freedom Fund recently created a defense team of lawyers to help them get around this let me go back and say, in that press release, he pretty much stated, because the courts are starting to come down on racial equity work, our funds are drying up. The white philanthropic foundations like the Weingart Foundation and other foundations, they're starting not to give us as much money. Our funders are starting not to give us as much money because they're scared. They're scared. They're scared that they're going to be sued if they continue to fund race work. And so 2-3 years ago, before those decisions from the courts, Black Freedom Fund got $100 million initiative from people like the Zuckerbergs and all this other stuff. Again, this is stuff that you can easily Google if you're serious about this. But now that the courts have come down with these decisions on race work, their funds are drying up. Their coffers are drying up. Their banks are drying up. And so now they're in a crisis. Now they're wondering, who's going to give us money? How are we going to get funded? How am I going to get paid? Who's going to pay my salary? And so that's what's happening. That's what's happening. They're scared that they're not going to get any more funding from their white philanthropic foundations. And so they're using reparations to siphon money from a righteous justice claim to go to their foundations, to go to their organizations. And I encourage folks to look into this. I encourage investigative journalists to look into this because it's absolutely a miscarriage of justice. It's completely unethical and potentially illegal to, for elected officials in part to serve the interests of nonprofits over people. That's absolutely not right. So that's all I have to say for right now.
All right. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Mary. Mary, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you, Camila, for all what you've done. I got two things. One is, can you give us an update of SB 1050, the land reparations bill, and where that stands? And also, I'm not sure if anybody's heard of, but Maryland has started their own bill. Jill Carter from Baltimore, basically they have a reparations bill that they are starting to build. If people are interested in reaching out to them and looking at something from the ground floor. But their bill is based on community repair of communities that were affected by the drug wars. And that's how they're crafting their bill. And they're basically going to tax marijuana, which has just become illegal. And they're going to increase the tax from 9% to, I think, even for 15%. And that's where they're going to draw. They have, like, right now, they're putting together kind of like what they call a social equity task force that's going to be just dedicated, which is kind of sort of like a Freedmen's Fund, but they're actually taking in information and suggestions right now on how to build that mechanism out, because that's where the funds will be transferred. So I just wanted to see if you knew anything about that, or if you thought that was an interesting approach. Thank you.
So the first question, SB 1050. I apologize, I didn't get the last kind of part of your question because I was trying to look for the list of bills that have passed. The list of bills that have passed within the California Legislative Black Caucus's priority package, and one of them was SB 1050. So SB 1050 would provide land restitution for property taken during race-based uses of eminent domain to original owners, or provide another effective remedy where appropriate, such as restitution or compensation. That bill passed. That bill was contingent. That bill language had the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency language in it. So there's a question there. Okay, yes, SB 1050 passed. That's great. Governor Newsom has until September 30th to sign that bill into law. If Newsom signs the bill into law, that begs the question of where our potential claimants going to go if the agency doesn't exist because they killed the agency bill. So that's a question. And so I just put it to the Jumbotron if folks are interested in the other bills from the Black Caucus that passed. And again, all of these bills, Newsom would have until the end of this month to sign them. So,
okay.
I'm sorry I missed the second part of your question. I know it was about Maryland and kind of maybe.
Yeah, we got to actually move. We got to actually move forward. So thank you, Mary, and we got to go ahead and get to these other speakers because I know you got something to do, and I'm not going to keep this space open too much longer. Let me go ahead and get to Sister Sean. Go ahead, because I know you were talking about you had to ask her something. So go ahead, Sister Sean.
I gotta get it with the quick. So,
yeah, it's got to be quick too.
I'm gonna get it with the quick. So let me just tell you something. If I'm not cussing, you better be in trouble because out here and up here. I'm telling you, these are good questions. I listened to you earlier. We were waiting on you. And I heard when you said that you were in the rotunda and you were right there at the legislative body out here fighting for us to try to get this bill passed. And we got the Republican coming to pull in the motion. And there were up to 10 Democrats and other assembly members to betray us. I want our family to understand the process. So here's the questions that I have. So you said that the rotunda, it was like some sort of censorship, even being implemented and executed at the rotunda by denying passes for people like you and normal citizens. To me, that's a violation. That's question number one. Question number two, I was hearing about there was some nickel-dime slick last.
Well, how many questions you got? How many questions you got?
I got 3.
Okay, well, make them super quick.
Yeah, okay. There was an inactive file invoked at the last minute, and that inactive file, in other words, the 2 bills for the reparations and the cash payments in California was suddenly put in an inactive file. And I think that's also a violation. So the overall question is, are we going to kind of pursue those violations? The third question is that now that we've gone through this process and these shenanigans, that we know the legislative process is important, but there's also non-legislative options on the table. We spoke to you briefly about non-legislative processes where we don't have to be hijacked by these 10C, LBC folks and other folks, where we can get directly. We talked about, which was, I don't know if it was, maybe it's God's word. There was a filing just recently with the DOJ, Gerald Sanders. I believe you were in our space. Well, we're going directly to the executive and to the Department of Justice, where we do not need legislative approval for our legislation. So that is the third question. Would you be willing to have further discussion on non-legislative pathways to get our restitution? So that's the 1, 2, 3. I believe they are in violation. They are in violation of the rotunda rules. they're in violation with this freaky inactive file. And the third question is really a solution. Are you willing to move forward to work with us on non-legislative options for restitution? And I'll lay my plane.
Okay. Thank you, Sister Sean. Camilla's going to answer this, but then you're not going to be able to respond. We got to move on. But go ahead, Camila.
Yes. Third question, yes. You know, I am an attorney. Before the task force was mainly, doing entertainment law and transaction, but I've now pivoted to doing more civil rights litigation, doing reparation cases, utilizing the legal concept of like unjust enrichment as a way to get a reparation for descendants of slaves. So yes, short answer, yes. So the third one. Second one, yes. Friday Jones, I put in the jumbotron. She called because it's a long story. But anyways, we found out that the person who put the thing on an active file was Assembly Majority Leader IVR Curry. And Friday Jones called her office this morning, and her office said that she did not pull the bill herself, but that the California Black Caucus issued a letter to her requesting the bill to be pulled. So yeah, but Bill S.A.D., the Republican, I think he pulled the rule book, and the rule book said something like only the author of the bill could pull it, and that would have been Bradford. So I think there's definitely some investigation, some more looking into on that for sure. And then the same for the first question we had, right? We talked to employees at the state capitol, and they said, and Bill S.A.D. said in his tweet, he said he's never seen it be passed only tickets to the gallery. Ever. So as far as I'm concerned, I see it as a form of discrimination. Why can't I go to the gallery? I wanted to go to the gallery. I've never been to the gallery in the state legislature. I deserve that too. No, I'm a citizen. I pay taxes. I'm a constituent. Why was I denied that right? Why were we denied that right? That was not right. And that came from Assembly Member Speaker Robert Reeves. That was absolutely unacceptable.
Okay, thank you. Let me go ahead and Callie, I know you had a question you wanted to ask her as well too, so go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, I get my turn. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not going to go into that, but Ms. Moore, this is why at the meeting that was held at the park, what was it, 2 weeks ago, when I asked you guys about the flag, when I brought in my Juneteenth flag at the supervisor's hearing, and I was denied. They told me I couldn't bring that flag in. And so I was like, okay, but the way that the sheriffs had placed it, he was like, it wasn't as if it was a written rule. It was just more or less like, no, I'm not going to take this flag in. I know what it represents, and I know what you're here for. So what we're going to do is just fold it up, and when you come back out, then we'll give you back the flag. And so I was wondering, is that against the law? Is that against any rules that we can't take any flags? Now, I know at the LAUSD board meetings, they don't even allow you to bring in posters. So I wasn't sure if that same rule applied at the LA County Supervisors hearings and meetings, because I've seen other people bring in other materials, banners and all kinds of stuff. And then for some reason, they tell me I couldn't bring my flag. And so I was just wondering.
Well, I would say should definitely investigate that. You know how they do us. You know how they do us. Just like how they did us, where they wouldn't allow us to go into the gallery. As soon as we got there, they deployed over, I've seen over 5, 6, 7 police officers, all white, trying to intimidate us, acting like, because the police were there, we were going to stop doing what we were going to do. No, I walked around like, we own this. We was not fazed by them deploying law enforcement on us to try to scare us. No, we were exercising our First Amendment rights as United States citizens to do what we had to do for our people. And we were undeterred to the point where the police eventually had to leave. Like Reggie said, we was not phased. Okay, so I was just going to say, from a legal perspective, you know, certain government entities, they have what's called time, place, matter restrictions. Certain things that, you know, they can kind of restrict the time, place, or manner in which you use your First Amendment rights. There are some certain restrictions that courts find constitutional related to the First Amendment. Now the question would be whether, you know, what was the time, place, manner restriction at the place you were at? But you just said that you saw other people with something the same way that you had. So that obviously means that there was some discrimination at play. But you know, I have to follow up and kind of do some more digging on that. But I'm sorry that happened to you first and foremost.
No, right.
Yeah, no word.
Thank you, Callie. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get to the next speakers, but thank you. Let me go ahead and get to that Negro. I know you was up here for a while. Now I want to go ahead and get to the new speakers as well too. But that Negro, go ahead.
Yes, sir. And this will be quick. This is more of a promotion to all y'all. For my brother Irie, I'm going to second his thing. I'm looking at the purple pill in the bottom, which gives Newstoters looks and clicks and recognition for this room. I only see 33 shares. Share the damn space, y'all. This is for our people, and this is straight knowledge in here. Lastly, Lula, for those of y'all that don't know, that is Miss Camila, Sister Camila's cash. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, hey, help her out. They ain't helping her out. They're not paying the sister. I got to give her a little change, the little bit I can do to help her get around and fight for us. Thank you so much for what you do. Lastly, share the damn space. Are you?
All right. Thank you, that Negro. Thank you. I'm gonna drop you down, brother. But as always, I appreciate you. Let me go ahead and get to Miss Cleopatra. I want to go ahead and get to Miss Cleopatra. Everybody, we're trying to go real quick because Camila, she's trying to leave. She has an engagement, so I'm gonna try to give everybody 2 minutes, so we can go ahead and get everybody these are the last few hands that are gonna speak tonight. Host, don't let anybody else up. We got Miss Cleopatra, we got Ian, we got Reggie, we got Ashun, we got Sanita, Gerald, New Republic. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and get these hands up. We're gonna see if we have time. If Miss Camila has to go, then she has to go. But we're gonna try to go ahead and get these hands up. Let me give a shout out real quick to Miss Trigger and to Pink Ice for that donation on Cash App. Go ahead, Miss Cleopatra, you got it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you as always. It's insightful space and continue to do the work. But for Kamala, I wanted to say continue to move forward even in the face of significant contrast. I know that I have said this to you on different social media platforms, but I will have to say this to you again and again and again. And also, my final statement is do not allow people to take you out of character. I confess, I come from a family that practiced the art of verbal kung fu. Okay, and now with people having speakerphones and things like that, I mean, people can record you. It's not worth it. You're out there in California, go walk on the beach, say a prayer, have someone pray for you, pray with other people. Do whatever you need to do to keep yourself in a peaceful, calm, but most importantly, respectful manner. Amen. God bless. Continue to move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. I received that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Cleopatra. Let me go ahead and get to Reggie. Go ahead and get it, and then we're gonna go ahead and get to some other speakers real quick.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me better this time?
Much better, yes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to answer that gentleman's question. He asked us, how do we know that Newsom was the cause of this? You got to go up the ladder, and it's common sense about it, because you guys understand, before these bills even hit, you can look at the SB 1050, we won 56 to nothing. We at CJ, Coalition for Just Enough for California, we go knock on everybody's door, and we tally up our votes. we had over 60 votes, about 60 votes for all three bills. So the 1403 and the 1331 was going to pass. Now let's get back to the Buffy Wicks. She was the chair of the Appropriations Suspense File Committee. She could have did it. She could have did it. You know what I'm saying? But she dropped the ball. All of them did because Governor Newsom, he wanted everybody not to pass it. He never thought it would get this far. It did. We won, and we got history. The SB 1050 passed. All these was history. When we was at the Senate, when we went to 2 appropriations at the Senate, we went to 3 appropriations at the Assembly floor, and we almost made it, but they put a wrench in it. And let me get to somebody. Oh no, let me ask Camila real quick. Why did the CLVC vote at the last minute when it already went through 3 appropriations? And then let me get to the brother about New York reparations. You have Governor Kathy Hochul, and you got Jennifer Joseph. They have their commissions already set. And I tell everybody here in New York, please show up and show out. And I yield.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove you from the speaker as well, too. Ian, you were up here. I don't know if you're having some technical issues or whatever, but we got you back up here. Let me go ahead and get to matter of fact, Ian, it's your turn. Go ahead, Ian. You got it real quick though.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I just really want to keep it here that for me, the real problem. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. The real problem, I think, is that this is not just a black caucus problem. There's somebody at the top that's pulling the trigger. And for me, if you think logically, the only person, right, who logically could wield this much pressure, right, from the top and to be so close to the committee members would be Weber herself and her daughter. I think that she is the one who tanked this vote for it not to go ahead because she's playing two sides. She wants to be the crony of Gavin Newsom, and at the same time she wants to be recognized by the grassroots. And I think that she is the one behind the scenes making these choices because she as we know throughout this whole process has been almost completely fucking silent on it. And again, and if this is your fucking bill.
Hey, Ian, you gotta watch the language, bro. Come on.
My bad. It's a wonder, right? And again, we're adults. We have wisdom. This can't be your bill, and you be completely silent on it. And then you have your daughter, actively being involved in helping it not go through. So essentially, if you put 2 and 2 together, you understand that Shirley Weber I put in the chat. She's for DEI. She doesn't understand. By her tweet, she doesn't understand that the end of race, as Supreme Court is not the end of it. So she's part of that whole. What does she teach? She teaches the school of thought, Africana studies from that group, right? She is for Pan-Africanism, and I think as it moved forward, the more and more that it became lineage based just for freedmen, and I know everybody hates that word. I think that she pulled the trigger, and she got the go ahead, through her position in government to tank the bill. I think that's essentially what it is, and I think if you ask her, and nobody has brought up her name, oddly enough, except for her daughter, nobody has gone to her and say, hey, where do you stand with this? Because believe me, if she weighed in, right, if somebody asked her and had her weigh in, the bill could have gotten passed, right? She could have had that influence, especially with her daughter on the assembly. So
I think people are playing games with this. A lot of political football is happening, and I think people are looking forward not just to the money, but to their own personal careers. So I'll just land there.
All right. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get to the next speaker. Let me get to Gerald. Is it Gerald? Is it Gerald? 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 You got your hand up. Hey, Gerald.
Gerald Sanders.
Okay, Gerald Sanders. Well, come on.
Yes. I wanted to just first of all say that I want to commend Camila for her efforts. I heard her a while back on a radio station when I was introducing a new concept, a direct path to reparations, and I've kind of tracked her efforts, and I want to applaud her efforts. I have been working on a direct path to reparations, and in fact, recently filed a case at the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, as well as sent a demand letter to the United States Department of Justice, to President Biden and Kamala Harris, outlining a strategy that would overcome the obstacles that have tanked prior legal efforts to obtain reparations. So as part of the strategy, I filed this case in my name, but I sent this demand document in everyone's name. So I'm going to encourage everyone to go out to gotmydollar.com, and that's gotmydollar.com, and read the demand letter. And the thing that, and Camila and I have talked about it, it's actually a pretty sound strategy. Legal strategy. In fact, it's very sound. But again, with respect to what happened in California, any of us who have been in this space, and when I say this space, I'm referring to the space that we occupy in order to advance issues of concern to our community. We've experienced what happened in California over and over and over again, despite it doesn't matter how prepared you are, what you who you think you're aligned with. There's always, it seems, a surprise at the end of the journey and no rainbow. So what I'm going to suggest, because this can be done, there needs to be a complete reconnaissance effort to find out, so that you can do away with speculation, exactly what happened in California. And sometimes we threaten to use the leverage of ousting people from office. Oftentimes that does not work in our community, because ousting a person from office, many times they've already done the deal to get a occupied position that's actually more lucrative, more powerful for performing the act that they've been called upon to do. So I would encourage reconnaissance, because there are people who will talk. Even if they don't talk right now, they will talk, and they will paint the true story of what occurred. But as a community, when I crafted this legislative proposal, which this demand letter, which I never set out to do, because I've been working in.
Hey, Miss Gerald, we're going to have to try to get you to land your plane here in a second.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I can land my plane. I think I've said pretty much what I wanted to say, so I appreciate the opportunity to converse.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get to is it Ashawn? Ashawn, I think.
It's Asan.
Asan. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the space. As with others, I want to amplify the thank you to Camila and just the overall team in California for their due diligence to really show and lay out the blueprint for all of us to follow. Even in times of the indifference that they experienced, they really held steadfast to what they believed in and what they thought they were doing on behalf of all of us. And so I just want to say thank you to that. And I also want to offer, Camila, I heard you say earlier about some of the things that you believe were illegal. Here in Maryland, and I've also spoken with some others in California, we do have not certainly a legal team to the extent of what the other group was that you were speaking of that was funded $100 million. But we do have a legal team, and we do have a legal team that is working with Georgetown University Law School, and we have constitutional lawyers here. And I would like to lend, whatever means that we have here for whatever you think we can assist you with, as far as lending them out to you all to pursue whatever legal repercussions you think you need to pursue with California. I'm open to meeting with you all and then connecting you to our team here for you to kind of determine if they can be of any use to you. Also, I heard a speaker earlier speaking about Maryland and the Office of Social Equity when it comes to what she was calling reparations, but that is not reparations. The Office of Social Equity, for those who are in Maryland, is an established office already. It is not solely based on cannabis, but our governor here has basically passed out legislation for every county that was identified as a socially disadvantaged county because of the war on drugs to have a commission set up. I am one of those commissioners for Anne Arundel County. And yes, we do get a fund every 3 months, every quarter, where we're able to allocate money out to those communities. And no, it is not reparations. We have House Bill 594. We have multiple House bills out here right now in the state of Maryland for reparations, but none are worded in the way that we need to. But we are working with our legislators now to get one that's more cohesive to basically to kind of mimic California's bill, New York's bill, Connecticut's bill. Right now, we're going September 9th. We go before the county council here for us because we too, like Minnesota and Rondo, we also have a study group that we're working on, a community rather, and it's called the Old Fork Ward. And we are now, after a year and a half of research and studying and working with the experts, we are now ready to go and make our demands. So again, I just want to thank the California team, everyone who served on behalf of what I say, the full nation of the Negro freedmen. Thank you for just, having a straight, hard backbone to say, regardless of what our people are saying against you, regardless of what the other ethnic groups are saying against you, you all stood tall and firm on your principle and what you believe was in the best interest of our overall community. So thank you again for that. And reach out if you all need any type of legal assistance. I'm more than happy to connect you. Thank you, Nyland.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate you speaking tonight. Let me go ahead and I'm going to get to, is it Chanetta?
It's Janita.
Chanita, go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, I've been around the reparations movement since Chris Lodgins was organizing us on Sundays and showing us how to and what we should do. But I do appreciate also Camila's efforts and the whole team giving us a roadmap on how to go. But my main concern right now, I'm in Colorado, and I would like to just get some advice on how I should move being an organizer for our social justice study, SB 24053. I ran for city council, so I have a little bit of recognition in the city. And so I'm having a community conversation and inviting everyone. And almost everyone that I speak to don't know anything about the bill. They're like, what is this? So I have a speaker coming, and they're going to, educate the community on, what the bill is about, why they need to give their experiences in the several different areas that the social justice study is going to go into, like education,
of the disparities or the different ways that they maybe experienced harsh treatment and jailing, what else, housing, but 5 different areas. But the main thing is they're wanting us to come up with $650,000 to complete the study. But majority of the money has been, we've raised most of the money. But I just wanted to see what your suggestions are for me as an organizer.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Let's talk offline. Can we? Because mom will have to for this meeting.
Because she.
Let's talk offline because I was going to bring up kind of similar things that I was telling the other person, like we need to find a legislative champion, and either they don't have to be black, right? But a legislative champion, someone well respected. In the moment of time in which you're trying to push what you're trying to push, and obviously, working with like-minded folks on the community level to support them, I think is really the key to success.
Alrighty.
Great, thank you.
We're going to get to our last speaker. We're going to get to Talent, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to close this thing out for the night. Talent, go ahead. You got it real quick because Kamilah, she has to get ready to run, so we're going to get ready to close this thing out. But go ahead, Talent.
Hey, peace and love. Yeah, hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. Just want to say shout out to everybody. Shout out to Camila, host, co-host, everybody. I had one question, Camila. Thinking back to maybe about a year and a half ago, where I know some stuff had came online about some missing money. I don't know if it's like 1.2, 1.5 million that was supposed to go on like media, communication, to get the word out. Looking at where things landed and ended up in California, could you speak a bit to how important it is to get the right, I guess, allocation and implementation of the funding so the mass community can know about what's going on? So in a moment like this, there'd be a lot more pressure on educated minds about this whole process of what's going on.
Well, the $12 million, the government has allocated $12 million to go through the next fiscal year. So nobody has touched that money yet. And so if we give you that tidbit, can you kind of like restate your question a little bit so I can see how I think that's
I was told that poster had been used during the time that the task force was doing public hearings to further get the word out. And I remember I was talking about somebody had took some money and didn't do the right thing with it, so the community didn't know much.
Right, and I think that hindsight being 2020 is the first time the task force has done, and that's the first time that there's been a task force. I think where the California Reparations Task Force went wrong in communications, and I said this multiple times during the task force meeting. At one of the first meetings, we had the opportunity to go with the request for proposals, a public bids process for communications to get the right communication firms, to get the right community organizations to do our work. Or, this is what happened in California, Dr. Cheryl Grills raised her hand and volunteered to handle it herself. And she argued that, we don't have a lot of time, to go through a public bids process. I've done work similar to this in the past. Trust me, and I'll handle it. And that ended up being a dire mistake. It was Vice Chair Amos Brown who insisted that we do a public bids process in his wisdom. However, the task force majority voted for Dr. Grills to take charge of the communication. And literally the rest is history. And this is where we're at. So that's a cautionary tale in terms of California and the reparation. Do not, in any other task force, allow for communications to be outsourced to one individual because they will abuse that potentially. These are supposed to be public, state commissions, taxpayer funds, dollars. There needs to be transparency and accountability the entire way through. So I would recommend for any future task forces, New York, Illinois, all the other cities, always go with the public bids process. Do not, I don't care what task force member says they got all this experience and that, always go with maximum accountability, and that's through a public bids process.
All right. Thank you. Talent. And we're going to get ready. Camila, I know you have something to go ahead and do as well, too. So I want to just thank you for coming into the space tonight and just sharing your thoughts and your point of view on the situation that took place out there in California. We definitely appreciate you, as always, for coming in here and dropping some knowledge. So once again, thank you for coming in here tonight. Thank everybody, the co-hosts and the listeners as well, too, guys. We're going to go ahead and close this thing out for the night. We'll be back tomorrow night. We got Judge Joe Brown up in the space, so we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Peace, and everybody be safe. We'll see you then.